So he said, thanks for the follow-up. Our allocator has been advised to get on foot. We have two games in here on the weekend and one on the ice. We'll have two sets of crews interior depending on the weather. The crews might have overrated. Does that mean he's okay?
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah, because Hands is the allocator. Hands is here.
Oh yeah, I guess I have to.
Hands knows about it. So yeah.
So it should be okay.
Yeah, they let the guys know about it. So I think Sandy forgot to get hold of Hands right after he got the message, because I saw the message too about the game change. Okay, so
There's 2 hours because they double booked.
Yeah, and he said so. Then they're just doing a later start for them or whatever. And I said okay, that's fine. And then so when Hands would have got the message, but I think Sandy.
So Hands probably knows all about it.
Yeah, they were looking after it. So,
I guess I could email him more about that.
Yeah, if it's game stuff, yeah, just straight to Hands.
I didn't know.
Yes, I do, please.
I actually still
Paul, you want to go on your headset? We'll do a level check here.
Yes, sir.
it's ridiculous.
Check 1 2. Mike, check 1 2. This is Dom's. Mike, hello. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
I've got
Hello?
nothing.
Yeah, me neither at this point. I think you probably need to be in here, maybe.
So
No, still got nothing.
That's not plugged in anything. Check 1 2. Check 2.
yeah. yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I'm not getting a feed. Simon, I'm Dominic. Nice to meet you. And this is Paul.
Yeah, Paul, we met a little while ago, but
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. Good. Thanks, Simon.
I've got one. Yeah. Well, and you wrote notes, which is good. Like that's fine. Don't know.
if it's out of bounds, on the hand. If it's a penalty, on the hands. If it's a timeout, on the hands. Injury, on the hands.
And then if
everything
that
else
gets-
is all wind in.
So if you get for a running play, so if you get tackled, then it just keeps going.
That's
So
right.
you get 5 yards.
We'll stop it
Yeah.
on
Set
the
the
last
ball.
3 minutes.
Week number 8 in the British Columbia Football Conference, and we have a fantastic showdown here today from Caledonia Park in Nanaimo. First place on the line in the BCFC as the Okanagan Sun travel to Vancouver Island to take on the Raiders. And Paul, it's always pretty special when you're talking about fall weather, Nanaimo, the Raiders, and the Sun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And a set like this, like you say, on a day like this, and for first place. It was written in the script. Whoever put the schedule together, put it together at proper time. And as we boil down the end of the season, this is that type of game that everybody looks for, and that's why it's the game of the week.
You've got the top defense in the league in the Okanagan Sun, the top offense in the Vancouver Island Raiders, at least by scoring, all due respect to the Valley Huskers. Defense, offense, who do you see an advantage lying with today here, Paul?
Oh boy, this is way too close to call. I think the Raiders offensively might have a bit of an advantage based on the fact that LaBerge is ready to play. Notice that Lukes isn't playing for the Sun today, so that hurts a little bit, I think, from the Sun perspective, but they've also run the ball quite well over the last couple of games, so they're prepared for running game, I would expect. But they're both good football teams, so it's going to be one of those games that I think it's going to come down to kicking and who makes the biggest mistakes.
The winner of this football game will stand alone in first place as we head into Week 9 in the British Columbia Football Conference. We'll have kickoff minutes away. Thanks for joining us here on BCFCTV.com. First place in the British Columbia Football Conference on the line today as the Okanagan Sun gets set to take on the Vancouver Island Raiders. Thanks so much for joining us here on BCFCTV.com, powered today by Remax of Kelowna. My name is Dominic Abassi. By my side, Paul Short. The crew from Roll Focus here with us as well. And thanks again so much for joining us. And this is going to be a ton of fun, as it's always special when these two football teams get together, especially under a fall setting at this park here in Nanaimo. It's certainly one of the favorite matchups in the British Columbia Football Conference. The Okanagan Sun come into this football game with a record of 4-2-1, 9 points on the season. They currently sit alone in second place in the standings in the BCFC. They come in riding back-to-back victories, including a win over the Vancouver Island Raiders 2 weeks ago up in the Apple Bowl. The most recent game for the Sun, a victory over the Valley Huskers at home last weekend, and they got a strong performance out of their defense. They forced 6 turnovers on the day, 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles, 7 if you include a turnover on downs by the Valley Huskers. As for that Sun offense, 43 points, 542 yards of offense, including 331 on the ground, as 5 different rushers combined for that total. Kelton Curry leading the way with 140 yards on the ground. But a storyline for the Sun today, they will be without Jacob Laux, who I think in Ben McCauley's mind is their best quarterback, gives them the best chance to win. It will instead be second-year backup Matthew Mahler getting the start here today, and that is a big-time factor in the storyline of this football game. The Vancouver Island Raiders, meanwhile, coming off a victory up in the interior. They beat the Kamloops Broncos on the road last weekend, 31-7, to get back in the win column for them. And at 5-2, the Raiders, with 10 points, have a 1-point lead coming into this matchup over the Okanagan Sun. First place all alone in that logjam that is the BCFC standings. 3 points separating first and fifth place West Shore. For the Raiders last week against the Broncos, 400 yards of offense. They turned the ball over twice. Their defense did, that is, against the Broncos. Jake LeBerge started the game on the bench, and it was hoped that it would be a day off. That didn't pan out. He came in, went 9 of 13, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, and him and Julian Wittink, I think the starting quarterback of the Valley Huskers, really fighting for that MVP, offensive MVP award here this season. Paul, you watched it when these two teams played 2 weeks ago in the Apple Bowl. What was the difference in that game in your mind?
I think the Sun had a purpose. They came out and they were a little more determined, and the Raiders made a few mistakes that uncharacteristically. They had a couple kicks were blocked. Just one of those games where you're kind of out of sync. And then also, in fairness to the Raiders at that time, they had bus problems going up.
That game was supposed to be played on a Saturday night, ended up being played on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, and you know, and the team officials are out running around, you know, buying toothbrushes and toiletries for the guys. A change of
underwear, right? I mean, come on.
They weren't supposed to stay overnight, and
right.
So that plays with you. But I think the Sun took advantage of that at that time. So it was one of those games that the Raiders want back, and this is the one that they're going to say, okay, now we're better than what we were 2 weeks ago.
35-22 was the score 2 weeks ago in the Apple Bowl that vaulted the Sun right into the conversation to potentially finish the regular season in first place. Well, today's outcome is going to go a long way to deciding that as well. The Sun will kick in the white with the orange trim, the Raiders in the black and red, and we are underway here in week number 8 on BCFCTV.com, and a little bit of trouble on this return as having a hard time scooping that ball up was Andre Goldborn. And the Raiders will start about their own 25, actually about their own 15-yard line here, so not great field position to start this game as Jake LeBerge leads his unit out onto the field. LeBerge, third-year guy out of Terry Fox, one of the best quarterbacks in this conference, in this Canadian Junior Football League overall. 1,759 yards on the season, 13 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, as LeBerge is the second leading passer as far as yards go behind Julian Wittink, and he will start in the shotgun for his club here from their own 15. They'll hand it to the league's leading rusher in Rhett Williams, and he's got himself a nice gain of about 6 yards, and we know Jake LeBerge is going to get his yards and move the ball. Rhett Williams, maybe an X factor here a little bit today?
I think so. I think you have to establish the run. We're getting to that time of year where the run's very important, and Williams didn't play last week, so it's a chance for him to sort of get his legs underneath him in game action again. But the whole thing's going to come down to how Jake manages this offense from a run-pass situation similar to that. You know, you have the quick little fake, throw a completed pass to Mike West for the first down. But if LeBerge is on in this game, it's going to be very difficult for the Sun. But defensively, the Sun have to try to get limit what LeBerge can do outside the pocket as well. And I think that's going to be the key. The Raiders have to move them around a little bit, and the Sun have to try to keep him in the pocket.
Sun brought the blitz on second and short there, but LeBerge quickly checked to his hot route receiver, who is the hottest receiver on this team, maybe in the conference right now, in Mike West, as he is emerging as the all-star that he was back in 2016 as a member then of the Valley Huskers, as Williams gets a tough yardage here. And we talked a lot about Mike West early in the year because he was a tantalizing signing by the Raiders for his pedigree, a former AAA high school player of the year in BC, which is Paul, you know that award is meaningful.
Absolutely.
Was an all-star in 2016 with the Huskers, has the big physical frame, the speed, the hands, the potential to be one of the premier receivers in this league, and he has really started to get in, I think, into game shape for this Raiders team. 2nd and 5 here, and that is going to be close to, and I think
they're going to give him first
right
down.
on a first down to Jared Braun.
I agree with you. I think Mike West he's a man playing against boys sometimes as these games unfold, but the biggest thing about Mike is he's thick. He's a big, thick man. to where it's going to be tough to cover him based on the fact that he can body, just physically move you with his body because he is so strong, and he's got great hands, just fabulous hands.
First down. LeBerge looking deep. Nelms Horton, his speedster, incomplete as that went right through his hands. Nice coverage there by Jordan Ray on the spot. And Eli Nelms Horton, it's pretty tough to overthrow that guy, and I think that was maybe underthrown even a little bit for his speed.
Yeah, I think it gave Ray an opportunity to just get a hand in there to maybe just deflect that ball a little bit. That was a nice pass. It was exactly where you want to put it, but like I say, a bit more air underneath it, it might have helped out a bit.
Second down. Raiders need the full 10 from just inside their own 50 here. First drive of the first quarter. On the blitz, doesn't get home, forces an early pass and a nice tackle, and that will bring on the punt team here, as I believe that was Trey Adams who made a nice tackle out in the flat and puts an end to the Raiders' first drive of this game.
Well, that's not bad. Considering the kickoff was muffed a little bit, starting from your 15, you sort of get an opportunity to get your legs underneath you, and know you're in a game.
Couple first downs.
Yeah, and change the field position. You're close to midfield, so with Hunchuk's leg here, he can pin the Sun deep into their own end.
Hunchuk, an all-star last season for his punting talents, as he got ball. Javen Keikle brings this ball back to about the 26-yard line, and that is where the Okanagan Sun offense will start out with Matthew Mahler under center, and a huge difference, I think, in this Sun offense when you have Jacob Laux under center as compared to Mahler's completion percentage on the season is 36%, which is certainly not great, and among the lowest, or the lowest actually of all the quarterbacks of record this season. 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions from Mahler. That compares to Laux, who is 42% percentage. Mahler throws, picked off. First throw of the game, and that is into the hands of the veteran Jeremy Chang, and he is going to bring this back into Sun territory. And, well, we talked a lot about the Sun starting quarterback in the lead up to this one, and the first play of the game on offense, Sun, and it is picked off by the Raider veteran.
You can see on the replay, he threw it into coverage, and he knew where he was going to throw right from the start, and it was intended for 37. That's Keikle, and just a good play by Jeremy. It's one of those things that he's a ball hawk. He had 2 interceptions last week in Kamloops, and he has one here. And he's slowly climbing up onto the career interception leads with the Raiders, and it's one of those things that Mahler's going to have to get used to. The speed of the game. He's played in some games while Laux has been out, but he had legs underneath him as far as, make it a little easier on the start. And I think probably the success of Rebels, what the Sun saw when the Rebels played up with that first pass, catching the Raiders off guard, maybe that's what the same thinking was when their first play.
Jeremy Chang's 4th interception of the season. He's 2nd in the conference, 4 interceptions, and for the VI Raiders, that is their league-leading 16th interception this season. Here's a throw on 2nd down, and that is complete over the middle. And that was a very solid reception going up to get that. I believe it was Christopher Findon.
I think it was number 10, yes.
Yeah, Findon working out of the slot here.
Pass.
Well, it's Bonnet Plume, I think, actually. Is that 18 or 10?
I think it was number 10.
Either way, yeah, it's 18. It's Bonnet Plume. It's a 1st and 10. They still have the sticks up here, so not a 1st and goal as the Raiders are looking to cash in off the Chang interception. LeBerge, hands off. Williams, nice hole up the middle, but a pretty strong arm tackle there in the Sun linebacking core by Nick Cross.
He's a ball player. Again, you want to capitalize on these turnovers, and that's a prime opportunity right here for the Raiders to take the early lead. But a big second down. Well, you can get, like you say, they can get the first down, looks like, or pretty close.
They'll throw. Second down. Wide open. Touchdown Raiders. As the man leaking out of the backfield there. And the Raiders put in the spot. And they strike first in this football game. Turnovers leading to points. Very costly.
Was that number 23, Becker?
It was indeed.
Yeah.
Taylor Becker, the fullback, leaking out of the backfield. Hauls that in from Jake LeBerge, and the Raiders have themselves 6, soon to be 7. Midway through this first, there's the extra point, and that is good.
Yeah, that pass opportunity was generated by LeBerge moving his feet, because then the man that was covering on Becker had to come up to keep LeBerge in the pocket, and that allowed Becker to be wide open.
A lot of energy on that Raiders sideline after that play for LeBerge. That is his 14th touchdown pass of the season, and that puts him into first place all alone in the conference for touchdown passes, and on pace for a career 17 all of last season.
In my opinion, he's the best quarterback at the BCFC, and he's taken that opportunity to build with the program. The program's been able to massage him into what they need.
Third year, and the Raiders brought him right out of high school with Terry Fox.
It's fabulous. I think that's the way. But at the end of the day, you still have an athlete on the football field, and I think he's one of those guys that he can do it with his legs as well as his arm.
What, in your mind, makes him better than Julian Whitting from the Valley Huskers, who statistically is the best quarterback in the league so far this season, Paul?
Well, I think Whitting I haven't seen play live. I've seen him a few times on the broadcast, but LeBerge manages the game. That's the way I look at what he manages the game so well. He sees so well. But with that said, I haven't seen Whitting up close. I will next week, or over the next couple of weeks, because they're in Victoria and then up here in Nanaimo. So that, I might change my opinion that time after I see him. But what I've seen so far of LeBerge, he just manages the game so well. He understands the defenses. He's able to see. He's got great eyes. So I think that's the reason I think he's right now runner for the MVP in the BCFC.
Sun start out with a quick pass to Kakel, and they get a short gain on that from Mahler.
Yeah, I think they got just allow Mahler just an opportunity to get a feel for it. Don't push too quickly right here. And
Kakel is the Suns' leading receiver so far this season. Second-year man out of Calgary. Down, and now he's going to try and use his legs, and
came up short on
McNally Hardesty pulls him down, and he will be well short of the yard to gain. So the Sun with a quick 2-and-out after giving up the first points of this game, and they'll kick the ball away back to the Raiders here.
Visig with a good punt here is going to hopefully pin the Raiders a little bit deeper. With short punt's going to give the Raiders a short field again, and the way they're sort of moving the ball a little bit, could have some success right on this third series of the game for them.
Ooh, that is not a good kick off the side. Wagner hits a Sun player, and McNally Hardesty is just going to jump on top of that. So the Raiders are going to get even more yardage.
That should be
no yards here, I would expect to be the call.
It should be a 15-yarder since it hit him. Hit a Sun player, so it's probably 15 yards.
Wagner averages 38 yards. He's actually second to only Hunchak so far this season, but that one was shanked off the side of his foot, and the no yards will have the Raiders for the second starting inside Okanagan Sun territory with a 7-0 lead here.
Yeah, the Sun didn't want to happen on that play. It was a bad kick, and that leads to the Raiders taking over possession inside the Sun 45.
Well, this is where this Sun defense has got to flex its muscle. They are statistically the best defense in the British Columbia Football Conference. They have given up the least points. They give up, Paul, and this is, I found this incredible, an average of 58 yards rushing a game that they give up. However, they have given up the most passing yards per game of any team in the conference, 227 yards per game they give up through the air.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Coach McCauley mentioned a couple games ago, that one of the areas they got to really strengthen up is their defensive backs. Again, it's all the league is full of some pretty good quarterbacks, and
2nd and 10 handoff to Williams, and look at the second effort as he pushes through some Sun defenders, and I believe has enough for the first down.
Yeah, that was a good run.
Austin Daisy finally brings him down, and does not have the first down yardage when he is first touched there.
Yeah, he's saying, I'm going to take you with me, so hold on as tight as you can. And
excellent run there by
for first down.
22-year-old out of Weyburn, Saskatchewan, in his final year of junior football and having a career season. Offerton rushing by 200 yards as Goulbourne gets a carry here on first down. Raiders just on the Sun 30-yard line here. Yeah,
the Raiders score here. You're going to see the Sun a little more urgency.
Well, there's, ages to go in this game. Obviously, we've seen.
No, we have seen.
We've seen some wild stuff happen in the second half here at Caledonia Park, and the Raiders have been on the wrong side and the right side of some wild second halves this season. LeBerge, end zone on second down, incomplete. Some calls for a flag, but that catch to me was uncatchable as Jordan Ray was on the spot there covering Braun, and the Raiders will send out goal unit here, and this is a relatively tough kick here. This is by no means a gimme. Jacob Normore on the season is.
Oh, it looks like.
Nelms Horton is going to kick this actually here, yeah. So.
It's going to be a long one, 42 or sorry,
Nelms
37.
Horton is 1 of 3. His long is 35. This is 37. Got the distance, and that is good. He drilled that ball.
He hit that one solid, that's for sure.
That went out. That would have been good from 50. He pounded that.
He's quite an athlete, along with being a speedster and a receiver. He's got a pretty good leg on him.
He, a Belmont secondary grad from down on the South Island. Nelms Horton was actually a track star in high school, and you can see that by the way he runs those 9 routes.
Absolutely.
So the Nelms Horton field goal makes it 10-0 Raiders with 5:21 left to go here in the first quarter. You are watching BCFCTV.com for Kelowna. We'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching in from today? As this is the second game to get underway, I believe this week here in the BCFC. As there was it a 2 o'clock kickoff in the other games? And Rebels got underway at 2. All that action is live right now on BCFCTV.com. Here's Kakel. He can fly, and he's going to be chopped down here about his own 25.
I think we got a flag on the play after the play there. Yeah, so the Sun, it's not bad. They survived the.
That was a big stop to give up only 3.
Yep, and they just give up the 3, so you didn't really come away too injured on that one.
Flag is here. It's going to be against the Raiders.
Unnecessary roughness.
Unnecessary roughness, a free 15 on up to about their own 45. Their best starting point of the game. So, what can Matthew Mahler do with this Sun offense? But again, we've been talking a lot about the quarterback spot, but at the end of the day, the Sun have got it done on the ground all year.
Yes.
They lead the league, averaging 160 per game on the ground.
Well, this is their third series, and they haven't really tested the inside with Cakeley or any of the running. So, well, here we go on the first down. That was a good play by number, I think it's 79.
That's Doyle Westland. That was Kelton Curry on the carry there. Third-year man for this Sun team out of Moose Jaw. And he is the quick, shifty back, not the largest of all running backs by any stretch.
But that's the key. The Sun have to
Second and 8 here.
establish some sort of run attack. If they don't do that,
At least that they're willing to do it.
Yes.
They have a beefy O-line, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, they sure do. And it's important. It allows your quarterback, young quarterback, to get a little bit of confidence.
Second down, Mahler flushed, and he'll throw incomplete. Looked like he did have a decent pocket, elected to take evasive action, and the Sun punt team coming back out here.
Yeah, sometimes the clock in your head speeds up, and your feet are telling you get going, do something different, and you got to rely on how the play is designed and what it's supposed to do, but you got to also you're playing trying to disrupt that as well. Need a good punt here from Wagner, that's for sure. You don't want to turn it short.
A wobbler. Oh, Xander Bailey lost his footing there.
Master Dramas making a nice tackle, just running down on top of it. Just keep the ball carrier in front of you, and things can happen. He's here in the replay here. It's not a bad kick. It was a wobbly kick, but it was deeper.
Looks like Xander Bailey might have had some room here, but got tripped up. Looked like Master Demas kind of hung the foot out. Did it done any way you can, I guess.
Absolutely.
Out-of-town scoreboard. West Shore Rebels have a 10-7 lead in Chilliwack over the Valley Huskers, and that huge game. And those two teams will play back-to-back. And in a lot of ways, I think that's going to go to deciding who ends up making the playoffs and who doesn't from that group, as there's a really strong play up front by Kyle Ford penetrating on first down.
Yeah, he just beat the block. He stepped with as the lineman stepped, and he just shot that gap right away and is in the backfield for the loss.
Second and long now.
But that's a huge game. I think if the Chilliwack wins that, they're going to blow my prediction out of the water about them not making the playoffs. And if they do that, congratulations to them. But made some coaching changes this week. Which
Bears high, deep. The only man there is Ty Kitzman, and this is picked off by the veteran, as that was tantamount to a punt there. Not sure where the miscommunication was. Kitzman with the interception, just what the Sun needed.
Yeah, I think that you look at that as from a coaching standpoint. Well, it's as good as a punt. Yeah, it's just I think receiver just stopped running at some point during the route, and LeBurge was thinking he's going to be somewhere else. But yeah, if West Shore brought back J.C. Boyce, who was the head coach of the team when he took them to the Canadian Bowl, so see what happens there. But Chilliwack, this will be the first time in a long time that they have an opportunity to be in the playoff. They're going to be really pumped up for this game. And a win by Chilliwack today, well, that was a nice play. That would
down.
Definitely put the Rebels into 5th place and no chance of making the playoffs, I don't think.
For Kitzman, that was his 3rd interception of the season. The 2017 outstanding defensive back in the British Columbia Football Conference, won that award last season. Now in his final year out of Vernon, and Ty Kitzman, one of the premier defensive backs in this league. That was a holding call against the Sun that they will waive off. Brings up second and pretty much, actually more than that, second and about 12. I was going to say 10. The Sun lost 2 on first down. Late stages, first quarter here, 10-0 Raiders. Raiders will show 4 men on the line of scrimmage here on this second and long play. Sun, 4 wide receivers, balanced, set. They actually have a tight end. Oh, no, they don't have a tight end here. Mahler throws short. That is complete, but nowhere near enough yardage for a first down, as that's in the hands of Keith Zyla, who has played all kinds of different positions for this Sun team.
He's like their switchblade guy. He's all over the place.
He's been a quarterback, a receiver, and I believe was playing on the defensive side of the ball at one point as well.
I think he started the year as safety. I think that's where he started. That was a good tackle by McNally Hardesty. It was a very short tackle because when you're island out there, a lot of
missed
things
that tackle.
back. That's a huge game.
Wagner with a good kick, bounces on Bailey, he fumbles it, the ball's loose, and they're going to blow the play dead. Oh my goodness. Oh,
Sure
you
on
talk
that.
about a quick whistle there. Bailey never had that ball.
Okanagan last time. That was a very quick
When you guys got beat, like 40.
Oh, come on. You're a classy kid. I'm surprised that came out of your mouth.
Classy, eh?
You are a classy kid.
That's-
Serious, Connor.
They're gonna give it to them. They're not gonna give it to us. I promise you that.
Wow.
That's interesting.
I mean, that was a very, very quick whistle. We could see it clearly, and you'll see it on the replay here. It is Raider football, but Xander Bailey not have any amount of possession when they blew the whistle on that play.
Now, the only thing of is that possibly since he was already on the ground when he went to field the ball, as soon as he touched it, then with his knee down, that's probably what the official blew it to say that's what happened. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty quick whistle.
Raiders got lucky there, so they will take over here. Quick pass out of the backfield, and this will be a very short gain. A strong tackle there by Trey Adams.
That was a good play. It was just they picked him up right away as soon as he got off the tackle's backside. Trey Adams just jumped right on top of him and limit the gain to 3 yards, if that.
Feels like defensively, the Sun are really settling down now. Hey, I
Well,
mean, a bit of a jumpy start for them, but this is a defensive unit now.
Absolutely, and it always takes a while to get going when you're in park. You know, you're staying overnight the night before. It's something you don't do all the time.
Well,
There's just
LeBears with another
miscommunication.
really
that one for
errant
sure.
pass as he tried to pump and go, and that ball landed nowhere near any player of any color jersey. So a quick 2-and-out there. There's 2 series in a row, has had a couple of peculiar passes come out of his hand.
Yeah, I think they look like timing type patterns to where he's throwing the ball to a spot, and it could be something to do with the Suns defenders are tying up the receivers just to slow the timing of the pattern down. But yeah, just kind of last couple passes, like you say, are just into air.
Oh, Kekel has a lot of room here. Makes a man miss.
That's a nice run. Just keep your feet underneath you.
He is into Raider territory as a
And
late
another
flag
flag.
comes in here, and we'll see how that affects the play here. Kekel with a strong return there.
A lot of yapping going on because both teams recognize the importance of this game. Home field advantage is huge. And this one looks like it's coming back.
15 yards for UR against the Suns' Brendan Ripko, and that marches them back to midfield.
Well, again, from the last series, they've been, scratching away and on the turnover on the punts. They're gaining a little bit of ground here, but they haven't had any success moving the football.
First down, Mahler in the shot. The field. They're going to swing this out to their speedy back, Curry. He rounds the corner and scampers out up near but short of the sticks.
Yeah, just one of those, just throw it out a little swing pass and just let your speed pick up what you can. Anytime you can put the defense in a chase, it's a good thing.
Sun, I mean, you mentioned it takes a bit of time to get started. That's true. They have no reason to, I think, be tired or uncomfortable. They didn't travel today. They came in yesterday, spent the night at the Ramada here in Nanaimo, and should be well rested and comfortable. Mahler on second down, quick pass. That's on the money and a lot of room here out in front for Ihanza, scampering inside the 15 down, out of bounds at about the 11-yard line as Ihanza in the flat, unchecked, and he goes for about 50 yards.
Yeah, that's where they've had success. Well, anytime they've thrown the football, other than that first one that was picked off, it's been these little outs and little swing passes. So.
Nice little block there by Tyson Pitcher. And Ihanza pushed out of bounds finally by Arabsky, and the Sun with their best chance of the day from the 11-yard line.
Yeah, they've seen something on film that they're trying to take advantage of that short,
well, I think
flat
too
area.
they're trying to protect Mahler a little bit here as well.
That could be too, yes.
Final seconds, first quarter, 1st and 10 Sun from the Raider 11-yard line. Mahler, shotgun set, looks right side, incomplete, but there is a flag down on the field in the area of an offside
against the Sun. Look like the slot back at the top of the screen.
So conventional wisdom would say you decline this.
Moving them back, so.
Okay.
They don't know that real bad.
Since it was an incomplete pass. Oh, they are moving them back, so.
Okay.
They don't know that real bad. On the receiver.
I don't know why you would take the penalty there, to be honest. It still is a short field goal with those 5 yards either way.
Yep.
If, you know,
Yeah, I find that. I thought that
this
was
is why
kind of
we are not
interesting.
head coaches. Paul,
That's
though, eh?
true. Yeah, that's.
Nobody's paying us to call the plays.
They get paid.
Well, some of them. For amount.
Oh yeah.
By
no,
the hour, it's probably negative money.
yeah,
But
absolutely. No, I used to do that, and I know the amount of time and stress that's put on your life.
Jeremy Chang feels like he might have been interfered with a little bit there by Kakel. Yeah, Paul, I mentioned the news. Obviously, it started out with some rumblings, some rumors, and quickly turned into fact that Matt Walker, Coach Snoop, stepping aside as head coach of the Langley Rams. The official word from the Rams is health reasons. It's unclear if or when he might return to the sidelines. Howie Zarin taking over as acting head coach, and the Rams are a good team. The players are still the same, but that has an impact, especially a coach like Matt Blocker, who connects with his players so well.
Absolutely, and I talked to Matt last week when they were down in Victoria playing the Rebels, and he seemed like the old Matt, but
a field goal is good.
But I wasn't sure. Like you could tell he was preoccupied, you know, and I just put it down, you know, it's game time and different things like that. But then I talking to a couple of Rebel people after the game, and they just said, "What'd you think of Snoop?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, you know, it just doesn't look right, you know." And then when this came down, when I heard about, you know, heard the rumors at the start, and I thought, well, if it's a health thing, that's the #1 priority. We gotta get that fixed, and I wish Matt all the best. You know, I've liked Matt ever since I helped out the Rebels back in the late '90s, and I went to a banquet, and he was talking to the kids, and man, I tell you, he had me fired up to climb over glass for him, that type of thing. But I wish him all the best, and I hope that you can get this behind him and get everything sorted out so he come back coaching. He's the second winningest coach in the CGFL. He's the leading coach in the BCFC as far as for wins and championships. So it's one of those things that, you know, you get well, and, you know, we want to see you back on the sideline.
Wagner's field goal, by the way, was good. There was a little confusion as to the referees never really made a signal, but Wagner hit from 17, so the Sun trailed 10-3 as we are in the first minute of the second quarter here from Caledonia Park in Nanaimo. First place showdown. I wish that I could say we will have some real clarity about the standings after this weekend, but I don't think we will. We're not going to really be any farther ahead to determining who's going to play where The only clarity, like you said earlier, we might have is if the Huskers are able to get a win over the Rebels. That is going to put West Shore in a tough spot. Here's a pass that is intercepted as Jake LeBerge continues to throw poor balls into the secondary. Jordan Ray hauls that in, and the Sun, fresh off their first points of the day, turn the ball over.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this, like it was a play action, and he was definitely looking downfield. And as he threw the football, just like in a spot where there's no receiver. So he's seeing something or not seeing something in this game that's just not helping the Raiders at all. Yeah, it was kind of strange. That's the third pass in a row when he's put the ball downfield where there's been nobody wearing black.
Suns start about midfield. We're unable to capitalize with any points off the last turnover. Oh, what a play there by Brody Taylor, the veteran. The local Nanaimo product with deep penetration in the backfield there.
Yeah, you can see on the replay, he just beat everybody coming off the edge.
Near side of your screen here on the end. Well, he's unblocked. That doesn't help. I guess that play design, you leave the backside end unblocked, but...
Well, I think the way they designed it is so you hand the ball off and your quarterback fakes the bootleg to hold him.
To keep contained.
Yeah, but now that the Sun are going to see that, and I'm not sure if Mahler's a runner or not, but at some point in the game they might just turn Mahler loose and he might pick up a big yardage on it.
The naked boot. So second and long here for the Sun. After the Jordan Ray interception, and they are going to go 2 and out. For Ray, by the way, that's his 4th pick of the year. And really uncharacteristic stuff.
Yeah, it's just kind of
from Jake LeBerge.
Very strange that he's put that ball up in areas where because he's quite an accurate passer to begin with. Oh, just similar to what the Sun had, no harm, no foul for the turnover. So
LeBerge with 2 picks today. He had thrown 8 through 7 weeks of the season. So, averaging about 1 a week, and he's throwing 2 here today. Bad snap, but Wagner picks it up, gets a good kick away. Bailey again fumbles the ball. This time the Sun get it. Oh man, Xander Bailey is having a nightmare back there, and the Okanagan Sun pick up a fumble deep in Raider territory.
Yeah, on the replay, he said Brandon Ripko just went screaming down there to make the tackle to contain his guy, and as soon as the ball was fumbled, he was right on top of it. He just kept running. He didn't slow down at all. Great opportunity, and it's an opportunity now for the Sun to tie this game up. Very uncharacteristic for the Raiders to be not playing sloppy, but they just don't have that edge to them.
Mahler, play action, rolls. He's got a man wide open in the flat, and it is a touchdown for the Okanagan Sun. Adam Burton hauls that in. So the huge mistake by Xander Bailey quickly leads to 7 points, and we are an extra point away from a tie football game.
And again, just attacking the edge with a short little out. That's how they had the last drive, just throwing those quick outs of running backs to the outs. And that one resulted in a score, which with the convert can tie the game.
Oh, just a really bad mistake there by Xander Bailey on that punt.
Fucking take that to heart right there. You're buffoons. You don't deserve to be in the league.
That convert was good.
Extra point through off the foot of Wagner, and we have ourselves a tie football game. Points off turnovers for the Sun.
Makes you feel better as the Sun, they got down early 10-0 and gives you an opportunity now to say, okay, we're in this game. And the coaches don't panic. It's just that sometimes the kids start thinking different things as far as, oh man, this is one of these games or whatever. But at the end of the day, you still got to play the game. And that's what the Raiders haven't been doing in the last 3 drives. They've thrown a couple picks, and they just haven't had that comfortable feel. You can just by watching their body language as well. It's not the same as when they open the game.
We should not be surprised that the Sun are turning the ball over, forcing turnovers, I should say. They have 2 interceptions and a fumble. That is now 42 turnovers they have forced this season, the most in the league, and they are plus 23 in the takeaway category. As Xander Bailey running guilty here, I think, trying to make good off of his mistakes, and he gets a nice return up to about the 40-yard line. Have an update here on the out-of-town scoreboard. It is 14-10 for the Huskers. That game must be nearing halftime, I would have to think, if not at the half. And the Huskers trying to secure a playoff spot for the first time in, well, I don't know exactly, but a long time.
I think about 2008, I think was the last time they were in the playoffs. Something like that, yeah.
11:51 to go here in the first half.
Yeah, I think it was around that time, 2007, 2008. Howie Zarn, who's now the interim head coach of the Rams, was head coach of the Huskers at that time.
Raiders, 2 men in the backfield here on first down. Quick handoff to Rhett Williams, and he has short yard gain here. Jake LaBerge, I mean, can he wake up here? He started the game looking very sharp, had a touchdown pass to start off, has since thrown 2 interceptions, and really some of his passes looking very bizarre.
Yeah, and again, you can't put it all on Jake. You know, there was a fumbled punt, 2 fumbled punts, one the Raiders recovered, the other one that the Sun recovered, that resulted in this last touchdown. But yeah, he just doesn't seem comfortable now. You know, maybe back there, I'm not sure. It's that, you know, that doesn't help when a pass is dropped. But again, what the Sun want, they want a 2 and out, get the ball back. They've got that confidence, the swagger starting to happen again. This is where you're going to, Hunchuk needs a good punt out of this.
Hunchuk with a good kick. Kakel on the run. Boy, he's got a lot of room. He'll be pushed out of bounds near midfield.
Yeah, it was a good return. Again, just using the width of the field and your speed to get to the edge, and if you can turn it up, you're going to pick up more yards, but it's forced short of bounds. It's a good return. It was caught at the 35-yard line, so it was a good 17-yard return.
Sun have scored 10 points in this quarter so far, and it's only 5 minutes old.
You know, this is, you know, sometimes you come in and you're feeling good about you. Like this is the 16th game they've played here since the Sun and Raiders have been playing since 2005, and the Sun have only won 5 of them.
There's a pass from Mahler too far.
That was a good play. That was a smart choice by Mahler there, just to throw the ball way to the outside. And the only guy that can catch would be your receiver. And if it's incomplete, just go back to the huddle and start another play. So the Sun haven't had much success up here in Nanaimo. So it's one of those things that they feel good about it when you start doing the proper things. But they did win last year. They won up here by what the score was 45-11. So they did, you know, put a good licking on the Raiders at that time.
Flags fly here on a 2nd and 10.
I think that was too long in the huddle. So that'll move the ball back 5 yards and 2nd down over.
Tens all over the scoreboard. 10-10, 10 minutes to go here. Second quarter. Was it a time count violation there?
Yes, yeah.
Back up the offense here by 5.
Yeah, it changes your play call. You know, obviously they had a 2nd and 10 play in now. Now you got to go to something a little bit different.
Mahler's pass incomplete. And the only one who had a chance to catch that was Isaiah Johns in the Raiders secondary.
Yeah, I think if Isaiah didn't wait for the ball. He might have had an opportunity to intercept that, but he kind of waited for it to come down, and it was just over his head a little bit. But could have adjusted to it. It's an area where the Raiders are struggling a little bit today is on the punt return. So it's, you get a clean return here, you can flip the field pretty quick and get yourself in position to take the lead, somebody to take the lead. Not a bad punt by Wagner. I got a flag down for probably the illegal block. It was great coverage by the Sun. They limited the return to maybe 4 yards, if that. I think that'll probably be illegal block, so that'll move the ball back 10 yards, and the Raiders will be starting inside their 20. So far, the second quarter hasn't gone much in the Raiders' way. They've been walking backwards.
About the 20, well, it would have been about the 25, but they're going to get backed up here.
Like they're about the 13-yard line. Long field.
The Raiders' last 4 drives, interception, punt, interception, punt. And in the midst of that, they should have got the ball back, but they fumbled the punt.
Yes.
So that is concerning, to say the least. And not the first time, Paul, we've seen a real, falling asleep, if you will, in the second quarter.
That's true. That's correct. Yeah, that's happened a couple games up here. Last game, as a matter of fact, great first half or first quarter, and then the second quarter was a little suspect. But they got a first down there, so that's the first down, I think, since the first quarter
Look at it. There's ice
on that second drive.
Brett Williams on first down.
Looks like he picked up first down again. Close to it.
Really impressed with the leap that he took this from last year to this year. I mean, Brett Williams was the second leading rusher in BC last season and did have a strong season, but he has taken it to a whole different level here this go around with the Raiders in his final year.
Well, I find to me he looks a bit bigger, thicker.
Yeah, last year had 551 yards and 3 touchdowns. He has surpassed all of those totals this year.
He's a strong running back, and
they will say it's a first down after a short measurement there. Under 9 minutes to go in the first half. 10-10 score line here. In a first place showdown. Barring a tie, one of these teams will be alone in first place by the time we're done this afternoon. Williams, patience, waiting into a, looks more like a rugby scrum than a football huddle, but it is, would have been a short gain, but it looks like the way the Raiders are celebrating it is against the Sun here.
It looked like it was an unnecessary push following the whistle there, so it's probably a UR. I thought it was against Connor Richard, number 10, but I could be wrong. It might have been Tyler Going. See what the officials say here. It's a big one. Umpire is moving 15 yards. Yeah, it was against number 20, Tyler Going, and that's at the wrong time. I think Coach McCauley would be unhappy with that.
He is. I can see him on the sidelines now. That would have been second and long. Instead, it's a first down near midfield. This drive started all the way back on the Raider 14-yard line.
Yeah, the emotion in a game like this, how big a game it is, sometimes just overtakes some players, and just those little things that hurt you.
LeBerge, time, takes a shot on the money for Jared Braun. Back shoulder throw. Perfect, because the coverage from Ray was great. He was right there, absolutely. But that back shoulder throw.
You can see on the replay here, Braun's going to turn around, and he adjusts his running style and his pattern to catch the football. That's difficult to do.
And LeBerge put that where only his guy could come back to it.
Absolutely. If nobody catches it, it's on the ground. You start again.
Jared Braun, another veteran on this Raider team with a great catch and a big play. About 25 yards, maybe 30. Sets up a first down just outside the Sun 25-yard line. They'll go with Williams.
Yeah, again, just
Short gain as he runs into the arms of Ford.
You got to keep the defense knowing that you could run the football, and they can't tee off on the run, and that it slows down linebackers. It slows down the pass rush, you know, and the linebackers from getting into coverage. And if you can run the football with some success throughout the game.
2nd and 5. Raiders balance set. End zone for West. He's got it. Mike West. What did you say earlier, Paul? A man amongst boys.
On that play,
and he was the man there against Dustin McGee. Hauls it down, Mike West, and the Raiders back out in front.
Yeah, that was a good pass, and Jake, right from the beginning, knew that's where he's going to throw the football. He just dropped back and looked right to West as he throws it. You see in the replay here, he just 2 steps, boom, set, throw it. But Mike just muscles himself up there to catch the football. But it looked like he came down, or that injury he sustained.
Yeah, he's a little limping as he came out of the end zone.
Limping a little bit on his patterns as well as when he's coming off. But that, you know, that's a good drive.
That started on the Raiders' own 14-yard
line. Yeah, it was a very good drive, helped by one major penalty, and ends with a nice long pass.
For LeBerge, his 2nd touchdown pass of the game. His league-leading 15th of the season for Mike West, his 3rd touchdown grab. 26-yard strike and a 96-yard drive by the Raiders there. Dustin McGee and now Ben McCauley making the case for a push-off there by Mike West. But
I think like there's always going to be some hand fighting and different things, but the defender has to be able to, play the football. But some defenders can't play the football because the guy they're covering, like in that situation there, Mike West was just better on that play than the defender was. Here's a nice run here. This is Austin Daisy. And I think got a illegal block possibly, or face mask.
Another flag here. We're seeing more of that lately.
Yeah, there was a definite penalty because 2 officials threw flags on the play. That was a nice, not a bad return by number 44, Austin Daisy. Austin's an interesting football player. He played for the Calgary Colts and was all PFC and all Canadian at one time. I think it was in 2016 he was an all Canadian at linebacker for the Colts.
You don't typically see a linebacker returning kicks. But
no, they got a couple of them with Richard as well.
Connor Richard, you're right. He does return kicks. Last year's linebacker of the year in BC.
I'm not sure what they call here. Looks like it's
debate. Targeting.
That's a 25-yard penalty.
25 yards. Wow.
Numbers.
No, it's not an ejection.
Pardon? Fucking noof again. Well, you got a linebacker running with the ball. He's got his head forward. How do you do it?
So I'm going to find out who that is because under the targeting rule this year, which is new this year in junior football, the same as the CIS, a player isn't ejected. It's a 25-yard penalty. And then after the game, the Rules and Discipline Committee will review the
We had a targeting penalty in the Sun Huskers game last week that did result in an ejection, if I'm not mistaken, Paul.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, the officials haven't responded as to why they ejected the player.
Curry with a good gain, but flags are down here on first down. It was Nick Going, I believe, who hit Huskers quarterback Julian Wittink on an interception play.
Yeah, Nick Cross.
Nick Cross, excuse me. And led to an ejection for a targeting penalty. There was no suspension that followed on that. And Paul, you were on the Rules Committee as well that reviewed that, and your committee's determination was that was a clean football play.
Yes, yeah. When I looked at it, the way the official described what happened, again, the game's fast, and officials aren't always in the right position, and there's a lot of bodies.
Are you sure about that?
There's a lot of bodies, flying in and around, and what they said, I didn't see on the film. I didn't feel that he didn't target the quarterback, because basically what it says is you target the above the shoulder hit where it's a helmet to helmet.
Swing pass to Curry here on 1st and 15, a nice gain, and he'll be close to the first down yardage and set up 2nd and short.
Again, success with those little swing
Everything
passes
is
and outs.
quick and lateral with this Sun offense today. They haven't done barely anything vertical.
No, the first one they did that was picked off.
That's right, first pass of the game.
But they're having great success.
The Raiders are not controlling the corners very well from the Sun offense right now, though they're having success moving laterally on the field. 2nd down here.
But with Nick Cross, we just felt it was a good football play and didn't warrant a further suspension. There was this incident when
Curry.
the Sun played the Rebels in
close.
the first game that there was Connor Richard was called for targeting, and it was the same thing. It was one of those ones that it's hard. You only have one angle of film, basically, maybe 2 with the end zone shot. But it's not like the NFL or the college football where you have 5 or 6
first
different
down
camera
Sun
angles.
here. Yeah, so by targeting, they're meaning targeting the head. Is that the concept?
Yes.
Okay. And it's tough because we were seeing this play out in the NFL right now. When you change a rule and you specifically put in a rule, you'll find that the referees, by nature, whether they like help it or not, are kind of looking for it, right? And we're seeing it now with the new quarterback protection rules, where you can't. How do you sack a quarterback in the NFL? No one knows now because the refs are looking for it, and everyone's hyper aware of it. And when you put in a new rule change like that, obviously with player safety in mind, the refs are going to, I think, try and pick it out.
Absolutely.
Play action. Mahler hit as he throws. He had a man, but he overthrew him as Zyla had a step, but Mahler with Matthew Hill right in his face really had no opportunity to do much with that.
Yeah, here on the replay here, you can see where Westland just knifes in a bit, but
Westland bought the fake and lost his
did.
contain, but it was actually Westland, not Hill, that had the pressure there.
But with the targeting, the whole idea was to get the head out of the game, and they wanted to eliminate the above-the-shoulder shots where you're making contact helmet to helmet, helmet to the chin, that type of thing. Or leaving your feet to make that contact.
Bad snap. Raiders blitz, but Mahler gets away from it. Now he's got some green space as a flag comes down. He's shy of the first down marker.
Yeah, it might be.
And I think it might be a holding call.
I think so, yeah.
I will say, Paul, I've never felt that there was an epidemic of head shots or head targeting in the BCFC. I've never really felt that it was and I completely understand the need to protect the brain, everything we know about concussions now. But I have never felt that there was a real huge issue with that. I mean, maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but I never thought that it was a sort of an epidemic of guys taking headshots all the time.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of the rules, pretty well all the rules that CJFL and the CIS follow, it's the same ruling in the CIS, is they originate in the United States, so Canada kind of follows suit, and we have to try to figure out how do we institute that rule.
How does it fit our game?
Yeah, how does it fit our game? And when you look at the film, like people now with the targeting rule, they're saying he targeted me or he hit me with his helmet. When you look at it on film and you slow it down, a lot of the contact is made with the shoulder or with the hands.
Wegner with a long attempt here. This is within his range though. 34-yard. His long is 42. He is 16 for 25 this season, and he has hit this one. 2 for 2 today is Isaac Wegner. It is 17-13 in favor of the Raiders on that 34-yard field goal attempt there.
Yeah, it was just a good kid. He's got a good, strong leg. He's leading the BCFC in field goals and field goal attempts, longest field goal. And as a punter, too, he's pretty good at that. Second in the league in punting behind Hunchuk. But, yeah, so if we could take the idea is just to make the game safer, because we don't want – we only have these guys for a year, maybe 2 years on average. We want them to grow up and, contribute to society and be leaders in the community. And we don't need them to sustain injuries, especially to the brain, that come back somewhere down the line that's going to, haunt them and look back on football as a negative experience for them.
Out-of-town scoreboard, halftime, Huskers 17, Rebels 10.
That'll be a good second half then. Rebels must win that one, or they're pretty well done.
Well, not mathematically, but
No.
maybe mentally, momentum-wise.
That's correct. Yeah, and
Oh, there's a little scampering through traffic by Goldborn, and he's up to the 45. I think even he thought he was going to be tackled there, and he came out the other side.
yeah, they just kind of, I don't know if they collided, but nobody really put their arms around him and take him to the ground. That's a good return. We haven't had very many good punt returns or kickoff returns in this game.
4:15 to go in the first half. 17-13, Raiders have the lead. BCFCTV.com, powered by Remax of Kelowna today. My name is Dominic Abassi. Paul Short is by my side. Roll focus on the production for this game here today. Hand off to Williams. He's trying to wait for the hole. Gets off of the first tackle and will gain positive yardage as he was met in the backfield by Austin Bowes and would not go down. Now we have an injury in that Sun defense, and
Well, the Sun defender who made
Marquardt is back to his feet here.
change his direction should have made the tackle, but
That was Bowes in the backfield. Yeah, Marquardt is going to debate it and now take a knee here. So he'll have to come off. Second and about 5 from the Raiders on the 50-yard line here. Yeah, Paul, I mean, and credit to you. You are a historian and are one of our, I guess, historical stat guys. I was going to say stat guru, but Heather Foster might have thrown her binoculars at me from my left side of the broadcast booth
I'm
here.
stepping back then
Yeah,
because
you
she's
don't-
right next to me,
I
and I don't
know.
want to get collateral damage. here.
But Paul, with his historical stats and the records, I mean, this is just really great stuff. Here's an interception.
That was a great interception.
Bad
One-handed.
throw by LeBerge. Tyler Going is gone. Pick 6. Okanagan Sun, 54 yards to the house. And the Sun have the lead.
That was a tremendous interception. One-handed catch. And the replay here, he got his right hand up and just picked this off. It's a great play.
Tyler Going just flashed up the right hand, and once he had it, there was nothing between him and pay dirt. And the Sun, for the first time today, have a lead, and pending the extra point, will lead 20-17.
Yeah, Tyler's a good defensive back, and he's going to take advantage of those type of throws for sure.
Extra point from Wagner is good.
Now there's a change. There you go. You know, you just keep working, keep working. First lead of the game for the Sun. They've had a good second quarter here.
And it has gone dead quiet here at Caledonia Park. And again, Jake LeBerge, what is going on with that young man today?
Yeah, there's something missing. There's
For Going, that is his league-leading 6th interception. And the Sun have a league best 17 interceptions this season.
yeah, that's why their
And Going, I
turnover
mean,
ratio's as good as it is.
you have to put him in as a defensive back of the year right now, don't you? Lead the league in picks.
Pretty close, yeah.
Pick 6 like that in a huge game.
McNally Hardesty, same way. He's having a great year. Don't want to miss anybody out on any other team, but there's some good DBs in this BC league.
Goldborn right in behind his blockers, and again he's able to get a nice return near the 40.
Yeah, Cody Thompson on the tackle there. Look the way he had his hand up there. That could have close to being a clothesline, or what do they call a horse collar tackle.
LeBerge, on his last 6 series, has thrown 3 interceptions. So he does have a touchdown pass to Mike West in the mix there as well, but a pick 6 by Tyler Going has the Sun in the lead for the first time today, 20-17, as we will hit the 3-minute warning on this play. And the Raiders and their veteran quarterback, we were calling him the best in the league earlier, and he has absolutely had a nightmare of a second quarter here.
Yeah, he's struggling somewhere. It's hard to say from standing up here what's going on.
I mean, he appears to be healthy. I don't
Yeah.
think I know that Doug Hawking actually commented this week in our weekly BCFC coaches interview that his quarterback was feeling quite healthy, had sort of fully recovered from some of the injuries and nagging sort of body aches that he had suffered in that game 2 weeks ago in Kelowna. When he, at one point, was carried off the field in that game with a lower body injury.
They'll figure it out. Definitely, they'll figure it out. But it's not like Jake LeBerge. I've never seen him play like this before.
2nd and 5. Now he's going to scramble, and he's going to go down in the backfield.
And he hurt himself here.
As Connor Richard rocketed himself into LeBerge's
Jake
arm.
got up here with a left arm.
And his left arm is not looking good as he hobbles off to the sideline here. And look at this finish by Richard. Gets low, shoots himself right into the left arm and leg of LeBerge, and he is feeling that. As the Raiders will punt.
He was there.
Cakeley deep again. And Richard got it. That's a block.
Punt is blocked. No yards will be the call. It is, at least for the Raiders' sake, got some yardage on that. And is there still no yards on a blocked kick?
Yeah, as long as it crosses the line of scrimmage.
Sun came for the block here too.
Yeah,
and Richard just got a hand on it. What a special player he is.
I think it's his 4th this year.
Connor Richard, out of the outstanding linebacker in the BCFC last year out of St. John, New Brunswick. Spent some time playing football down in the States as well. He is a special, special talent. One of my favorite players in the league to watch play, too, the way he
plays on the edge, for sure. He's one of those guys that tries to get under your skin.
Well, but you can't even fault him or get mad at him for that. You know, the guys who play with that edge of that arrogance almost, but you watch him play and you say, well, yeah, I'd be cocky too if I was that good.
And that's what the game's based on. The game, you have to have that type of attitude to play the game of football. You can't be too passive. You got to have a lot of confidence in what you do.
Boy, the Sun could really fully wrestle momentum away from the Raiders here if they can get points, 3 or 7, on this drive late in this first half. 2:29 to go in the half. Sun leading for the first time all football game. They trailed 10-0 at one point here. Mahler, he ducks Brody Taylor, steps up, throws man wide open is Zyla. He's got it inside the 10-yard line. Zyla was all alone. He took a pop at the end.
It was interesting because it
looked like Mahler was dead to rights in the backfield. He slipped. You can see him lose a footing. Brody Taylor, not a great effort, to be honest, at the tackle there. And nobody was near Zyla.
It was pretty special on his part, too, because a lot of times when you slip and you're trying to just survive, you're not looking anywhere to complete a pass. You're just looking at it to say,
I'm going to call a timeout,
throw the ball and just to start over again. But for him to have the all with there to see Zyla downfield, that's pretty darn good. The way he's playing today, people can be going, why isn't he the starting quarterback? Because they're having success throwing the ball. It's his first pass downfield that far, but they've had such great success in those little outs. Those are just perfect passes. This is kind of like
that was the best pass of the day by Mahler.
Absolutely. But it's like the Raiders' MO. The few times, the last few games, they've had great first quarters, and then they kind of
everything happens in spurts for them.
Yes.
They'll have a great, I think it was last time we were here, they scored on 4 straight series, and then they just absolutely went dead silent for about a quarter and a half. And it was the same thing against the Langley Rams in the game where they needed a dramatic fourth quarter comeback to secure a victory here on home field, a game by all rights they should have lost. And we saw it today. They jumped out to a quick 10-0 lead. The Sun tied it at 10-10 early in the second. The Raiders went back up 17-10. But a pick six by Going a couple of minutes ago put the Sun in front, and now they look to extend the lead late in the first half. 1st and goal. Mahler, pump fake, now throws. Curry's going to score, and the Raiders cannot figure out that lateral swing pass out of the backfield, and the Okanagan Sun march down the field and extend their lead.
That was, again, when it just running back out of the backfield. And Curry's coming from the far side, and he gets to the outside, and there's nobody there. Mind you, the deep receivers are pushing the DBs back, but he's wide open, and that's
Go, we gotta get up.
yeah,
Let's
just
go.
not there.
27-17 pending the extra point.
No freebies, guys.
And the Raiders are reeling here at home.
Fumble there.
They've turned the ball over 4 times
Go. Come on.
in this half. Those turnovers have given the Sun 10 points. And now they trail by 10, a game that they once led by 10.
Yeah, a couple, again, two different quarters, 2 different teams playing in those quarters.
Oh, Jeremy Chang is hot, the veteran safety, yelling at his team to wake up here. They'll need something to spark some momentum, and the Sun, credit to them, they could have easily gotten more rattled than they did off the way this game started, but they stuck with it, held their composure, let their strength, which is their defense, build them back up into this game. And now Matthew Mahler, after a really shaky start, he looks pretty comfortable back there.
He looks very comfortable.
They've got a perfect little setup for him right now, a design where it's short, it's quick, he doesn't have to think, just swing it out to the flats and let the lateral speed win. Here goes Xander Bailey, just over the 30-yard line.
Yeah, they've found something on the Raiders defense that they can take advantage of.
Have to address that at halftime.
Absolutely, but now you might see the Sun try to run the football a little bit more now too.
Right, which is what they do best.
Yes. But this is an important drive. This one here is going to dictate how the Raiders are going to be playing and how they're talked to at halftime.
In 13 years, and this, Paul, this stat is credit to you, in 13 years, the Sun have just 5 wins, 10 losses here at Caledonia Park, 12, 16, and 1 all time against the Raiders. And the Raiders franchise, the only one in BCFC history that has a winning record against the Okanagan Sun. The Sun have a winning record, and in most cases a huge winning record against every other franchise except the Raiders, who have, by and large, and especially in a lot of the huge games, BC Finals and all that, have had their way with the Sun since they came into this league in 2005.
Yep.
Not so far this year, not here. Second and short, they try and go with a handoff up the middle, and forget about that. Great work by Bose and Novak to seal that down, stuff Williams in the backfield, and another punt.
Just pushed into the backfield. They're nowhere to escape. They're playing with some authority right now, the Sun defense.
Well, they're feeling good now.
Confidence.
Braden Winger, Raiders offensive lineman. When you're holding on to the guy you're supposed to be blocking as he's making a tackle, you know you're in trouble.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sun are going to come for the block here again, Paul. They load up the top side. They don't get home, though, as Hunchak kicks it to Kakel at his own 40. Short return. So 90 seconds left to go in the half.
Lots of time.
Is this 90 seconds bigger for the Sun offense or for the Raider defense? I think for me it's the Raider defense.
I agree. I think the Raiders have to dig in the heels here and say no more. And obviously the Sun, this is a great opportunity with a minute 34 to go to add to their lead going into the half. But the Raiders got to dig in here if they want to stay in this game. It's not out of hand. They still got another half to play, but you don't want to come back out here, down 17 or down 13 points.
27-7, the Raiders have been outscored in this quarter.
Yeah, tale of two different games played in the first half.
Mahler, play action, throws. Ooh. Yeah, you got to be careful if you're throwing the ball anywhere near number 7. Givan McNally Hardesty. For my money, one of the top defensive backs in this league. He is right among the leaders in interceptions.
Yeah, he was.
In fact, was leading.
Yeah.
He was tied with Going with 5 interceptions coming into this game. But Tyler Going, course, has a pretty notable interception in this game, a pick 6, to put him into the conference lead.
Yeah, you know, Tyler Going has been, every week his name comes up for Defensive Player of the Week, and so he's having a tremendous year.
2nd and 10, high snap. Mahler pulls it down, hit by Westland as he throws it incomplete. And well, I mean, could not be more what the doctor ordered for the Raiders. Right
absolutely,
there.
This is an opportunity because only 8 seconds have come off the clock for those 2 plays, and you still got a minute 26 to go to come down and score, get an opportunity to score anyway. But it's been tough this second quarter for the Raiders. The Sun defense has really stepped up their game, and
I can see why. I mean, this is the first time I've seen them play live, the Okanagan, this season, and I can see why everyone talks about their defense, and I can see why statistically they are the best defense in the conference. That kick is partially blocked, but look out. Wagner is racing after this. He's not going to get there. Oh, and Goulbourne is smacked as the coverage team comes downhill. Mastrodemus leading the pack.
Yeah, no yards on that one as well, so it's, yeah, they came downhill really quickly.
But positive overall for the Raiders because they partially blocked that kick, and with the penalty here, we'll get decent yardage. Whew.
Yeah,
Mastrodemus coming downhill there.
Had no help from blockers on that one.
Yeah, well, it's hard to design a blocking scheme for a partially blocked kick, right?
True.
That squibs off to the side like that. You feel a little naked as a returner when you go to pick that one up.
Minute 16 to go. The Raiders have an opportunity here to, dig into the Suns' lead before halftime. But of late, they haven't had much success. And you don't want to turn the ball over either and give the Sun the football back where they can, extend on their lead.
The big 70 seconds here. Raiders down 10. LeBerge, quick throw, and that's the first time we've seen from Mike West since he scored his touchdown earlier. And he is gang tackled out of bounds, but not before he picks up about 7. Yeah, he doesn't look quite right.
No,
As you can see him kind of jogging his way back to the huddle there.
Even on that play there, he stopped
hesitant.
his legs moving, so it's like he wanted to protect something. And
that's huge. I mean, he has been Jake LeBerge's guy the last number of weeks. 2nd down. Nelms Horton is wide open, and he's got, he does it, incomplete. Dropped pass, credit to Adams on the hit. LeBerge probably could have put that on the spot a little quicker. Nelms Horton was wide open, but the ball
good pass,
floated.
but once the defender got there,
you have to pull this in, really.
Yeah, he just kind of looked like he got his hand on the outside hand and knocked it away.
Hey, you have to credit Trey Adams.
Absolutely.
He knocked that ball right out of there.
Absolutely, but you still got to squeeze that.
Hunchak will kick. Kakel back to return. Great kick. Pounds it. Kakel makes the first man miss, and the Raiders lose a bit of contain here, but second wave of coverage, guys, pulls down the Sun returner. 50 seconds to go in the half.
Yeah, Corey Fletcher on the tackle there, and he just kept him on his inside shoulder and made a great tackle. But it's 50 seconds, and that's a lot of time in Canadian football to move this football.
Sun only have 1 timeout left.
See what the Sun can do here if they want to just sit on this lead or
hand it to Curry, and I think that's a pretty good indication of their approach here.
Yeah, but you still got to get a first down. Mind you, the clock will be starting on the.
Well, you think the Raiders? Well, you would think they would call a timeout here, as there's an injured Raider down here. I think that's Brody Taylor, or is it Westland? 99
yeah,
is
Connor
the man
Kulik.
down, Connor Kulik. 44 seconds to go, and a 2nd down upcoming here. Raiders trailed at the half the last time these teams played too. 2 weeks ago, it was 18-14 Sun at the half, but that first half probably felt a lot better than this first half has for the Vancouver Island Raiders.
Yeah, I think that they're on their heels right now, and they're just trying to figure out how they can stop the Sun. The Sun have got that confidence going, and they're just chipping away and getting those first downs. There hasn't been a lot of penalties that are real major.
Well, there was that one penalty on the Raiders scoring drive.
Yes,
a 15-yard major that gave them instead of a second and long, gave them a first down. They went down the field and scored.
Yeah. But it's been the turnovers. The turnovers have been hurting both teams, but they've hurt the Raiders more.
4 turnovers in the half. 3 interceptions, a pick 6, a fumble. The fumble and the pick 6 directly leading to points.
Yes. And then a punt block, and the Raiders just might want to get out of this half as well and get in the change room and talk about it.
Second down carry. Kelton Curry has enough to move the sticks.
Yeah, 33 seconds to go. I think that's all their thought is now, is this will get in the change room and water up and make sure we've got the game plan put together for second half. And do all the adjustments. That's what both these coaches are good at, is making the adjustments.
It's a smart call. Curry with a big hole here. First down again. I mean, now if you're Ben McCauley, do you
I think he might be
think here's something? I mean, you've got a timeout. Do you try you get a 20-yard pass, you're right in field goal range. We've seen Wagner hit from over 40.
Well, you got a leg injury out there, looks like.
Well, the Raiders just lost a defensive lineman.
Yeah, who's a 78?
No, they've got,
like 78.
If that's Doyle Westland, that is a huge problem for this defense.
79, yes.
Really, really big problem, because Westland is a premier defensive end.
Yeah, he went down.
And I believe the Raiders team leader in sacks as well. What's so impressive about this performance so far by the Sun, Paul, is they don't have their starting quarterback. They don't have the BCFC sack leader either in the lineup. So, I mean, you could argue they're missing 2 of their best players.
Yes.
And they right now are playing a fantastic game on the road.
Well, just a methodical type game. You know, they what they've seen on the film for those swing passes and those quick outs, they've had success with them, and they've continued to have success with them. And the Raiders haven't really made those adjustments to try to take those away. And they really, and up until this time now, because they're running the clock out, but they haven't run the football either, and that's what they're basically base their offensive attack on. When Luke's is playing quarterback, it's all about his legs as well. And with Curry, the way Curry's been running, that's what came into this game leading the league in as far as offense, that they're leading rushing.
Yeah.
And they haven't really got into that because they've had such success on these little swing passes and out passes.
Westland not looking good as he's carried off the field, barely putting any weight on his left leg. He is 5 sacks on the season and a disruptive force up front. Draw play, flag down. Curry with a short gain. And another Raider is slow to get up here. Is limping around here is Ethan Moran. As the halftime whistle, or the clock goes off for halftime, but there is a flag down here.
Yeah, we got a couple flags. One might be a penalty against number 8 on the Kayanishani. And the umpire looked like he threw a flag as well, so that's probably a holding inside. They'll probably decline these because both of them appear to be against the Sun, and then they'll just go into halftime. These teams have a lot of respect for each other, but you get in games like this, and the
2 holding penalties against the Sun.
Okay, there you go. But they just, you want to just make it work. Do what you can do to win a football game.
Hey, get out, D, get out, let's go.
Well, that is the end of the half as the penalties are declined. Paul Short has scampered down to field level to hopefully grab an interview from one of the Raiders coaches, although I wouldn't blame them if they're not overly eager to talk after that first 15 minutes of action. As the Sun looked fantastic in that second half, 27 points they put up in the second quarter after trailing this game 10-0 off the hop. We have Paul Short down at field level, and he has himself the head coach of the Okanagan Sun, Ben McCauley.
Are we good to go? Okay, with me is head coach of the Okanagan Sun, Ben McCauley. You got to be pleased with this second quarter anyway. First quarter, you know, the guys didn't have their legs underneath them.
Yeah, a little bit of a shaky start to get off off the bus and start playing heavy legs, I guess. We had a late night last night. You get guys on the road, and that's kind of be expected, but we bounced back well.
Yeah, you had success with the little swing passes and the outs. Is that something you saw on film, or is that just the design you had from all our quarterback?
Well, I think one of our coaching points this week and the last couple of weeks has been we have to get better as coaches at adapting and adapting earlier, not waiting till the third quarter. So some of that stuff was a result of being able to take advantage of man coverage and capitalizing earlier rather than waiting for the third quarter.
Yeah, I noticed you're the leading rushing team in the league, and you didn't use Curry as much as I thought you would in the first quarter anyway. So the passing game came out as this is how we're going to attack these guys.
Yeah, and it's mostly about we got to take what they give us. We know they've got a good, strong run defense. They've got some great defensive linemen, so we need to be able to be a balanced attack. And I think our run game really comes into effect in the second half when we got fresh legs. We had a couple of guys who can really run the heck out of the ball. So, come third and fourth quarter, we expect to rely heavily on the run game.
I appreciate this, Coach.
Thanks,
Thank
Paul.
you very much. That's Ben McCauley, head coach of the Okanagan Sun, and we're at halftime with a score 27-17, Okanagan.
Paul Short down to field level with some thoughts from the Sun head coach, and Paul hitting some strong points there, and we saw those swing passes be killers for the Raiders as they could not handle the lateral passing game of the Okanagan Sun. And on the other side of it, the Sun defense forcing 4 turnovers, 10 points off of those turnovers, 3 interceptions, a pick 6 by Going, a fumble that led to a field goal deep in Raider territory, and the Sun find themselves with a 10-point lead at the half here in Nanaimo in a first-place showdown, the top 2 teams in the British Columbia Football Conference going head-to-head. We will step aside briefly at halftime, leave you with some of the biggest plays and the highlights from the first half. We'll get the second half kicked off in about 10 minutes. You are watching BCFCTV.com, powered by Remax of Kelowna.
Look at those yellow football
Come on. Let's go.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll be out. Blow the top off there.
Wow! Yeah!
Back inside Caledonia Park here in Nanaimo, British Columbia, week number 8 in the BCFC. And you are watching BCFCTV.com, powered by Remax of Kelowna today. My name is Dominic Abassi, Paul Short by my side, and we are moments away from second half kickoff. The Raiders will kick away to start this half, and they gave away the ball plenty of times in that first half. 4 turnovers forced by the Sun, 3 interceptions, a fumble. They get 10 points off of turnovers. They score 27 points, did the Sun, in the second quarter. They erase a 10-0 deficit and find themselves with a 27-17 lead without their starting quarterback, without their star defensive lineman, and a picture-perfect 15 minutes on the road from this Okanagan team, Paul.
Yeah, they came to play, that's for sure. And you know, from the turnover standpoint, they do lead the league. Coming into this game, they were a plus 21, and I think the next team up was Langley, was plus 9 or something on the turnovers. But they do what they do best. They play defense. The Sun has always, throughout their history, has always had a very good defensive team, and along with kicking, that's the other thing the Sun pride themselves in. He's always had very good field goal kickers, and Isaac Wagner is another one that's stepping up to fill that role this year for the Okanagan Sun. But Raiders, they've got to find an answer and get on the scoreboard in this third quarter, or it could be a heads down game for them at the end where they lose home field advantage in first place.
Eli Nelms-Horton will kick a low line drive away, as this is hauled in by Connor Richard, and the Sun will start the second half with possession. Matthew Mahler, what a great first half he had, playing in place of injured starter Jacob Laux, and Mahler looked pretty good. He made one mistake on the first pass of the game, which was intercepted, and from there he went 6 of 16, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Sun didn't ask him to do too much. They kept it very simple for him, quick passes into the flats, and the Raider defense had no answer.
Well, the Raiders play a lot of man coverage, so they're trying to take advantage of that on the outside, as Coach McCauley said at halftime. But what the Raiders, in my opinion, they've got to step up this second half. They've got to get pressure on them, and they've got to drop people into take linebackers and put them into those passing zones just to disrupt them, to give them different eye look, different eye candy that's going to be flashing through the zones, and just to put pressure on them.
Had 330 yards of rushing last week against Valley. They average a league best 163 yards on the ground. Only 45 yards rushing in the first half. I would expect to see much, much more of Kelton Curry in this second half. Here he is. We'll play action actually on second down, and Mahler throws incomplete, so a quick 2 and out for the Sun here. Sun, as I said, 6-16, 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception for Mahler, 45 yards rushing. Curry, the leading rushing back. 7 first downs, 8 penalties for 65 yards in the first half for the Okanagan Sun. And I would have lost money if you would have asked me to bet which quarterback would have a better stat line after 15 minutes of play here today. Would it be backup Matthew Mahler, or would it be MVP candidate Jake LeBaird? Here's a blocked kick. Guy Van McNally Hardesty blocks that one. The Sun players touched the ball. The Raiders did too. That won't be Sun ball because of the no yards penalty here, as the Sun player touched the ball first. Ben McCauley has his arm up as though it is Sun football. Yeah, and again, they did come up with possession, but the no yards should negate that.
That's correct, yeah. And that McNally Hardesty came off the right edge just like a bullet. He missiled in there, got his hands on the ball. It was a great play by him. And this is those type of things that change the complexion of your football game now. And I think the discussion going on is, where was the ball touched? Who was first to touch it? But it should be Raiders football,
yeah,
and it'd be 5 yards up.
It was blocked by McNally Hardesty, then it was first touched by Austin Daisy. And then the Raider player did touch it, which makes it a live ball. But with the no yards penalty and the Sun player touching it first, that would have been a pretty badly blown call to give Okanagan possession there.
Yeah, I think what they're saying is, well, the ball was already touched on the block. Like the Sun players are thinking that, and that it should be their football since they recovered it. But since the ball crossed the line of scrimmage, regardless if it's punted or blocked or not, it's still considered a punt. So that's where it's at. And so since the ball was run on the ground, 5-yard penalty. Austin Daisy, number 44, was the player that was called for the no yards because he went in to touch the football first. Just a little bit of a break for the Raiders here. That's an opportunity to change the complexion of this, how they're playing this game today.
They will start in Sun territory, and they'll start with a handoff to the league's leading rusher in Rhett Williams. Raiders first half stats, 62 yards rushing, almost all of those by Williams. Jake LeBaird, here's a big storyline. 9 of 18, 127 yards, 2 touchdowns. Okay, that's good. 3 interceptions, including a pick six. All 3 of the interceptions coming in the second quarter, giving points to the Sun, and as that Raider lead evaporated. Here's a second down run. Williams picking his way through bodies. Ball came out late as he tried to extend for yardage, and it is Sun football. Another turnover.
Connor Richard picking up that fumble. And he's throwing the
Williams
replay here.
was trying to stretch for yards.
He was stretching for yards, and the ball just gets stripped at the end here. Yeah, he's hung his arm out there, and it looked like number 49 was credited with will be credited with that's Ryan Marquardt will be credited with the forced fumble. And Connor Richard picks up the ball, and opportunity missed right now by the Raiders.
5 turnovers in this game for the Raiders. That is shocking.
Yeah, it's very shocking because it's not like how they play football. But again, the Sun are taking advantage of the opportunities they've had. They're taking advantage of them. There's another swing pass that they've had success with in the first half.
Kelton Curry hit hard.
So we'll find out what the adjustments are that the Raiders have made to negate that.
Yeah, the Sun, Paul, by a mile, lead the league in giveaway takeaway. With 5 turnovers today, they've forced 44 turnovers, the most in the league. Their plus-minus today, +4, so plus 25.
Wow.
And the Raiders were +8 coming into this game, but they're -4 today. So they're down to a +4, and they're the only other team that's even on the positive side of the turnover giveaway category.
That says something on how this. You always look at that when you're. That was a nice pass.
2nd and 10, put that right on the money.
But when you look at final standings, then you go to the giveaway takeaway, and usually that tells you how it shakes out.
No, you're right. Adam Burton with a deep in on 2nd and long, and Mahler waited and put this ball right on the money. Credit to him with a strong throw. And the second-year Sun quarterback has his offense with a first down up to their own 45-yard line. 4 minutes into the second quarter, 27-17. Sun have the lead here on BCFCTV.com.
This will be interesting. This is a drive here that
Play action
nice
incomplete, as that one zipped over the head of Kian Ishani.
Because the last couple of turnovers that the Sun have reaped the benefits of, they turned into points. So this could be an important drive here. You eat up a lot of clock here in the third quarter. There's still 11 minutes to go, but you eat up some clock runs and you add to your point lead, and all of a sudden you're up by more than 10. It makes you feel pretty good, and you know you're going to have a long trip home back to Kelowna tonight.
2nd and 10. High snap for the second play in a row. Pressure, hit. They call this a incomplete pass. Late call. Was that Jeremy Chang that came on a blitz out of the secondary there?
I'm not sure what they called here. Let's see what the replays. Yeah, that looks like Jeremy.
Incomplete pass.
Came around the edge.
Jeremy Chang blows around the top edge.
Oh boy, I don't know. That's pretty close. But anyhow,
I think the hand's coming forward there. I feel like the hand's coming forward.
But that was a good play by Jeremy. He just come off the edge and he stayed right on the quarterback's backside shoulder on his throwing arm.
A dynamic young man, Jeremy Chang, NDSS product, a local Nanaimo boy, and has flourished. I believe Defensive Rookie of the Year, if I remember right, a number of years back. Does that sound right to you, Paul? Maybe not. Either way, outstanding young player.
Oh, McNally Hardison could have got that one, I think, if he laid out on it.
As the out-of-bounds kick from Wegner. First half scoring can run down for you. At the 8:42 mark of the first quarter, Jake LeBerge on a pass out of the backfield to Taylor Becker, the fullback. A short touchdown pass, 7-0 Raiders. 3 minutes later, the Raiders added a 37-yard field goal from Eli Nelms-Horton, 10-0 VI after the first quarter. Isaac Wegner got the Sun on the board after a fumbled punt set up the Sun deep in Raider territory. Wegner, or I should say, that was not after the fumble punt. That was another scoring drive later. But either way, Wegner, with a field goal, made it 10-3 in favor of the Raiders early in the second quarter. And that's when the Raiders' offense went into some serious trouble. Now they're arguing over this and saying, was it a fumble?
I think he was down. Against
Raiders are going to maintain possession. We'll look on
Williams'
the replay
knee
here.
went down the ground. He got whacked from behind here pretty good, and but his knee's on the ground before that ball comes out. He got kind of awkward there with his left leg, but his knee's down right there.
Yeah. He gets buried under. As I was saying, Wegner field goal, 17 yards early in the second quarter, made it 10-3 Raiders. Then the Raider offense went into a tailspin. Interception, punt, as they throw deep here out of bounds on 2nd and long. And then there was also in the mix of all that punting and throwing interceptions, Xander Bailey fumbled a punt deep in his own territory, and that led to the Suns' first major of the day as Mahler threw a short pass on an out to Adam Burton. And Burton tied this game up 10-10 with 12 minutes left to go in the second quarter. Raiders answered back, drove down the field from their own 14-yard line. Jake LeBerge. Oh, there's a bad snap, and Hunchak is going to have to take a safety. No, he doesn't get the ball. This is a touchdown, Sun. Another huge mistake by the VI Raiders. Nick Cross recovers the bad snap in the Raider end zone. Hunchak inexplicably could not get on the ball, and the Sun continue to make a killing on turnovers.
Yeah, you can see on the replay here, it was just a snap right over Hunchak's head, and he had no chance to get after this football. And Nick Cross just said, that's my ball, I'm coming after to get it. And he beat Hunchak to the football, which is the way the game's been going. That good for the Sun and that bad for the Raiders this afternoon.
Extra point is good, and it is 34-17 for the Okanagan Sun with 9 minutes left to go here in the third quarter.
As turnovers come back to haunt you every time.
6th turnover of the game by the Raiders. And now 17 points off turnovers for the Okanagan Sun. To round out some of that first half scoring for you, the Raiders took the lead back with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. 26-yard touchdown pass, LeBerge to Mike West. The next drive for the Sun, they went down the field, got a 34-yard field goal, and that made it 17-13. And then the next drive for the Raiders, a pick six by Tyler Going, and that put the Sun in the lead for the first time on the day, 20-17. And a 10-yard touchdown pass from Mahler to Curry made it 27-17 at the half. And there we have our latest scoring play, a bad snap on a punt recovered in the end zone by Nick and the Nick Cross, and the Sun have a substantial lead here in this third quarter.
And the center playing with a little more urgency and excitement right now, and the Raiders, you know, they're all obviously either down by 17 points, so your bench is going to be a bit quiet.
Nelms Horton,
a chance to get this
back. Oh, he dropped it! And the mental mistakes are just pouring out of the Raiders right now. Unbelievable. He's wide open. A chance to run after the catch and just puts it on the carpet. Perfect pass by Jake LeBerge.
Look at this pass, and it's right in his hands.
It's a great pass.
Just a fabulous pass. That's just concentration. That's just looking at the ball and looking at it all the way in. And sometimes that edge is gone. You know, like for some reason the Raiders are just missing something, and it's that concentration, or you know, the deep focus to find out.
Bears trying to go deep here to Mike West.
That ball's intercepted.
Ty Kitzman. It is an orange crush right now. The black and red want to get in the locker room, it looks like, and the Sun are just rolling.
And sometimes you try to force things. You try to make something happen rather than just rely on the process. And just Mike went up for that football, and Ty came down with it, took it out of his hands. So the Raiders got to just kind of settle down a little bit. They just like shock and awe right now. They're looking at their bench. They're
7
just
turnovers,
standing still. That's amazing. I haven't seen the Raiders play like this for been a long time. Just seem to be out of sync for sure.
Play action by Mahler. Quick over the middle to Kakel, and he's got a big gainer into Raider territory as Javen Kakel beat his coverage.
Yeah, there's a lot of excitement on that white. The guys wearing white today.
The Sun are just absolutely vibing right now. They're dancing, they're celebrating, they're chirping, they're just, and why not? They are having their way with the Raiders.
Yeah, it's just a pitch and catch. They're having success outside. Now they find that because they've set up with those outside throws, now the middle's going to open up a little bit. So you can throw it over the center, and they've had a couple of deep passes with success. And some of them, I think, were lucky to catch them, if you will, but it's still, that's part of the game. You've got to be lucky to be good. Or I guess good to be lucky, or?
This is a blast from the past here on Twitter. Had a tweet from Chris Nagy.
Chris Nagy,
former Okanagan Sun and former, former Victoria Rebel. He was never a VI Raider.
Right. That's right.
But was a Victoria Rebel. Played with Chris in 2004.
I remember Chris very well.
Nice to have Chris reach out. Of course, the Nagy name in the Okanagan franchise is long and storied.
That's a good step up. That's a good stop there.
Short gain on second down. He is close, though, and I think the Sun are going to go here. It's a long field goal.
No, why not? Why not?
42-yard. I leave the offense on the field here.
No, they're calling a field goal. That's going to make about a 42-yarder.
That's third and like 1.5, Paul. You go for the jugular here, don't you?
Well,
if they haven't already cut that jugular by this point.
Yeah, but I think, also at some points during games, you have to coach for the next game. And it's an opportunity to be in a position like this to say, okay, we've got to try a field goal And we're going to put our best kicker, the best kicker in the league out there to see if he can make this 44-yarder.
This would be a longest of the year. It's got the distance, and it is through. So Wegner with a season-long 44-yard boot. And the Orange Crush just keeps on pounding.
That's his. Last week he kicked 5, and earlier in the season he also kicked 5 in a game. So it's not surprising to see a kick like that, 44 yards coming off of his foot. And those are things you got to work on, because if whoever comes out of the conference is going to be playing Ontario in a game, and you might come up with that third down in a yard or third down in 2 yards, and you wonder, do we go for it? But if you've got the confidence in your kicker, take the points.
Yeah, well, you're right. I mean, in a different kind of game, you have to be able to make that into points. Although, if you have the defense of the caliber of the Sun, I think maybe you just punt it away and let your defense do their job too. Since the Raiders led 10-0 after the first quarter, they have been outscored 37-7.
Wow.
And it has just been an absolute nightmare for the VI Raiders. There's no other way to put it. And credit the Sun. They've been conservative when they've needed to. They have forced a bevy of turnovers. And they are making the currently first-place Raiders look a little bit more like the last-place Broncos here today.
That was a good return by Bailey. I thought he followed his blocking very, very well in there. And again, what you want to do now is you want to get back on the saddle, if you will, and you got to move the football. You got to get some first downs. There's a lot of time left. There's still 6 minutes to go in this quarter.
When these teams last met, the Sun did force technically 8 turnovers, although 3 of them were on downs.
Yes.
So you call it 5 turnovers, really. Nelms Horton on a receiver screen, and that is a positive yardage on a first down play. And it feels like the Raiders, they have no flow, no momentum, because the majority of their plays, Paul, it feels like every time they drop back, it's either a handoff to Williams or they're just trying to take a shot.
Yes.
Going deep, and you have to start working in some different kinds of passing patterns.
Well, I thought, I find the Raiders' offense sometimes, as I watch them and doing these broadcasts, a little bit frustrating. Like it's like you say, they're not predictable, but the predictable and who they threw the ball to.
LeBear's just sailed that one out of bounds.
And that type of thing. And Jake hasn't been like, I don't want to say bad, because he's not bad. Just he's not having a great game today. But there's things that you miss on that you're going, why would you do that? Yeah. And it's the same thing when you question a call when you're watching the NFL. But they look at film and they do all the different things, and they see things and say, this is who we're going to attack, or this is the area we're going to get after. But then when you see it live, you go, why would you do that?
Keiko, he's dangerous.
Very
not
dangerous.
here, though. He's going to be stymied about his own 40-yard line. And now, I mean, if you're the Sun, you just got to start pounding that ball with your big offensive line and your running back, Kelton Curry, who is second in the league in rushing yards, although to be fair, he's about 200 yards behind Rhett Williams at this point.
They haven't established the run yet, other than the close out the first half. They had success running
probably
the football.
About 60 yards rushing on the day with their production in the second half so far, which is about half, actually 100 yards less than what they average per game. Love to do that, call a timeout in the third quarter, but not overly costly, I don't think, for the Sun here, considering their healthy 20-point lead with 4:32 remaining.
Yeah, I think they're going to use the clock, but if they get any opportunity to score, they're going to take advantage of that. But the Raiders, just the whole team, from I don't want to say coaches on down. Your coaches, you talk to them, they're fired up, and they're always enthused about playing football. And yeah, we prepared well all week. We had our best week of practices, different things like that. But it just sometimes the team just doesn't respond, and they get into get into some games where things happen that you just go, wow, and you can't control it other than control what you can do, and then sometimes you do try to do too much and you get out of position. Do your own job, and everything kind of works out. If everybody around you does their job as well.
Well, that is right out of the Doug Hawking handbook there. A handoff here on 1st and 10, and that is a really strong carry and some good yardage by Lorenzo Dissi.
Yeah, they got some
that's a change of pace from Kelton Curry there. Look at Dissi get upfield when he sees his hole.
Oh, absolutely. And they had his old linemen were all in front of him, too. They're just working hard, just making blocks. Number 58 there, that's Denell Allen.
Well, it's fun to play O-line when it's in a game like this. 2nd and a yard. And the Sun plunge ahead here for a 1st down. I mean, when you're rolling, everything's going your way. The defense for the Raiders has got to be starting to get tired and worn down and feeling a lot less positive about their chances of winning this game. You know you can run the ball down their throat. You can start pounding it. This is the most fun you could ever have as an offensive lineman.
That's true. Other than when you played, you used to run downfield and get the pile watchers.
Yeah, that was one of my favorites, Paul. You know that. Did I have a reputation or something?
No.
Come on.
No.
We called them butterflies. The butterflies that would hang around the field and not be watching the play, or they would be watching the play and not watching me.
That's true, yeah. There's always been...
They changed that rule, though, a lot, though, didn't they? Because, to be fair, I mean, you could say it was maybe a little on the dirty side, because you'd be picking guys 30 yards off away from the ball. But, hey, we always said, if you're on the field inside the white lines, you are game.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way, and I will never, ever forget this. It was 2003. The Rebels were up in the Apple Bowl as a regular season game, and we were losing quite badly, if I remember correctly. And I came in late, subbed into the game, and I was blocking Jordan Fast, who for a period of time was among the all-time sack leaders.
Yes.
Outstanding defensive lineman. And he was just eating my lunch all day. I was a rookie. I had no idea what I was doing. And the Sun intercepted one of our passes. And I thought, and the ball was 40 yards away. And I was really doing kind of nothing. And he absolutely decleated me. My feet weren't even on the ground anymore. And ever since then, I said, okay, I learned something. I never wanted that to happen to me again, and I always wanted to do that to someone else. So I learned something very quickly as a rookie there.
That's why we call it the Dom Abassi rule.
There you go. Good punt by Wagner, and the Raiders aren't going to get much on this.
A flag down, too.
Two
flags. Yeah, but they changed the rule. They didn't. A lot of guys were getting hurt on that type of thing, and they basically said anybody that's defenseless, that's not necessarily involved in the play, is off limits, and that's where the targeting rule also evolved out of, and different things like that. And it's all about protection. Like I said earlier, we only got these guys for a short period of time, and let's make sure that their experience here is a positive one. And
kids these days, Paul, I'll tell you.
Yeah, kids these days.
So this, see which way these calls go here.
Well, it's got to be a legal block, I would think, by the Raiders. Got a hold by the Raiders, and
there's only the one call.
Well, where are they moving the ball to here?
Should be 10 yards back.
Wrong way. Umpire was thinking something different.
Let's put the Raiders down around their own 15-yard line here.
VI
has not scored points since 7 minutes left in the second quarter. That touchdown to Mike West was the last time the Raiders got points in this game.
Yeah, they've struggled, and it is same here in the third quarter. They've just struggled. They just can't seem to get anything going that's positive. Different running back there, number 32 for the Thomas Franks on the carry, picking up about 6. See, Williams isn't in the game, and kind of awkwardly took a hit on the last couple series ago. That there's a first down. It's their first down of the second half, if I'm not mistaken.
Nelms Horton on the grab. Yeah, Rhett Williams, yeah, you're right, Paul. He did go down in a pretty awkward-looking manner earlier in this half. And, I mean, at this point, like, you do kind of maybe rest him a bit. There's not much point, and he's not a real pass-receiving back, so I don't know that you need to make him get beat up in this half. Here's that quick strike down the seam. Bonnet Plume on the money on the play action from LeBerge. Play action to the strong side, and he goes backside seam. Bonnet Plume on the skinny post
is there.
Down there. LeBerge had him all the way. You could see him. That's a great pass.
And if it wasn't for the speed of Dustin McGee, number 24 on the Sun, that would have been a score.
And see, it's like you mentioned the frustrating thing about this Raider offense, and I agree with you, because Jake LeBerge, as he dials one up again here for his speedster, Nelms Horton, and he can't haul it in. Jake LeBerge can make passes like that, and you think, amazing, perfect ball, hit his guy in stride. And then we've seen some of the other passes today falling in the middle of nowhere, 3 interceptions, pick sixes. You're right. There is a level of a lack of continuity and flow with this offense at times that is baffling, because you think, okay, well, sometimes they look unbeatable, unstoppable. Sometimes they look downright bad.
Yes, yeah, and I always put a nice catch.
There's Mike West going up in traffic, staying on his feet, and he's got a first down to the Sun 20.
Again, another one, a high pass, and that's one of the things I noticed, Jake. A lot of the passes are high today, and maybe, he had a lower body injury, so maybe he might be having trouble stepping up.
Sun brought the heat on that play too, and he beat the blitz, and they're going to go with a hurry up here. 1st and 10, Sun 20. LeBerge looking, throwing, end zone for Braun. He couldn't catch up as he had a step to the corner and was a little short picking it up. So the third quarter will come to an end, and the Okanagan Sun score the only points of that half, 10 points of that quarter, I should say. A bad snap on a punt that was recovered in the end zone by the Okanagan Sun.
Nicholas Cross.
Nick Cross, and then a 44-yard season-long field goal from Isaac Wegner. That's the Sun with a 20-point lead heading into the final frame here. You are watching BCFCTV.com, powered this week by Remax of Kelowna. And I'll try and see if I can get an update here on the out-of-town scoreboard.
Well, they're only down by 20 points, and we noticed, or didn't notice, but we were at the game when the Raiders came back on Langley and put up 28 fourth-quarter points to get away with a win in that one. So they know they can do it. They've done it before. But it's just, do you have that urgency inside you to say, if we score here, now we're going to get the defense on the field and make a turnover.
Last update I have, LeBerge throws here on 2nd and 10 and incomplete. Last update I had from 20 minutes ago, 20-19, Huskers leading Rebels. 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
So a real nail-biter going there.
Sounds
between,
like it's a pretty good football game.
Between the 4th place Huskers and the 5th place Rebels, 1 point separating those two teams.
Yeah, they're going for it here on 3rd down, so it's...
Raiders are going to go early in the 4th quarter here. They need 10. Blitz comes, pass away, touchdown, no, incomplete. Eli Nelms Horton is absolutely having a nightmarish game. A normally sure-handed rookie who has had a great season. And
offside Sun, so they get another shot at this.
Nelms Horton is just struggling today.
Yeah, he's dropped about 3 that have been right in his hands. This was a nice pass.
That's a touchdown on a perfect pass in double coverage. Again, credit the coverage there.
Boy, you could almost give Dustin McGee a batted ball on that one for sure.
But, as Paul said, the Sun were offside, and the Raiders will get another go here. It's 3rd and 5.
All he needs first down. Don't. If you can score, great, but get the first down.
Haven't seen Jake LeBears run much today.
I think that's probably due to the injury he suffered up in Kelowna the last time they played.
Yeah, you're right. Quick pass.
There's a nice
great
catch.
catch by
Great
Mike
catch.
West. Wow. I mean, because that's not a great throw. He put him in a tough spot with that ball being so low, and Mike West just picked that off his shoe tops.
That was a great
which
catch.
isn't easy to do when you're such a big man like that, too.
And then, yeah, then you've got to,
First
you're
down.
so low to the ground, then you've got to
Protect yourself.
protect yourself as well.
First and goal. LeBears. End zone.
See about the 1.
Out of bounds at the 1 for Bonnet Plume.
That'll bring up 2nd down and goal.
Second and goal from the half-yard line.
Yeah, I would think you're going to see a running play here.
This drive started about 100 yards away from where they are right now.
That's correct. They
On their own 10-yard line at the end of the third quarter. And the Raiders have marched it all the way down. They now face 2nd and goal. Not going to get in that way.
Just tremendous. That was Austin Daisy, 44.
Daisy's in the mix
Trey
there.
Adams,
Cross is
number
in the
4.
mix there too.
Just got across the line of scrimmage so quick. Well, again, it's 3rd down, and
Sun have the best linebackers in the league, hey?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, you got Richard, Cross, Daisy.
And they've been consistent, consistent all year long. And I'm not sure, I'm not up on injury reports from these teams, but they always seem to be
3rd down,
ball batted away.
incomplete.
Trey Adams knocking that ball away from the.
It is a turnover on downs by the Raiders, so a 100-yard drive spanning 2 quarters, and they get nothing out of it.
Yeah, just good coverage. Trey Adams here, he got his hand on the ball as that pass came out. You can see just his left hand knocks that ball away. It was a very nice play by Trey Adams.
That is the 8th turnover of the day. 4 picks, 3 fumbles, a turnover on downs, 17 points off turnovers. That's your storyline right there for my money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's with Jake, the way he was throwing the football there in the 2nd quarter, which that was a nice, good surge there by the Raiders defensive line. But yeah, where Jake is, his passing has been off, and the turnovers have just been a killer today. And the battle for first place, the Sun with this win, because they're going to win this game. They're going to jump a point up on the Raiders. And both teams with 2 games to go. The Raiders take on Chilliwack next week, and then go to Langley next week. Then they have Chilliwack here in 2 weeks.
In week 10.
And the Sun play Kamloops next week, and then they host the Rebels. And
there's Curry, first down off of his own goal line.
so I would think that I'm not saying the Rebels can't play with Okanagan, or that Langley can play with the Raiders, but they could win. Each team win those in this game today.
Well, the Sun
first place.
Sun win here likely. All due respect to the Broncos, I'm taking the Sun there next weekend, right?
It's in Kelowna too.
And then they host the Rebels to wrap up the season. And again, all due respect to the Rebels, but I'm taking the Sun there as well. So you're looking at a 15-point total for the Sun, as there's a broken play and Mahler's just going to run for his life, and pretty good scamper. So you're looking at Okanagan has a real clean shot to get to 15 points on the season overall. The Raiders losing today, the best they could do is 14, and that's if they win out in Langley and at home to the Huskers.
Right.
So Okanagan Sun, first place team after this win here today. I'm going to call that right now.
Yeah, I agree. And it's tough to win up there now. That's why home field advantage is so important.
The Raiders did it last year.
They did. And that Raiders team last year just came out of nowhere in the second half of the season. And
they won 2 playoff road games to win the BC championship, as this is a false start here.
It hasn't happened that often. That hasn't. You were part of the team in 2003 that did that same thing.
20-0. We shut out the Sun
in
the Cullen Cup game in the Apple Bowl. I do recall that. I remember the bus ride home more than the game itself, but I don't know why.
Now, it's the same with these guys. They're going to get on a bus after this one, and they're going to feel good about coming into Nanaimo, Caledonia Park, where they've only, of the 15 other times they've been here, or 6.
They've only won 5.
Won 5.
Although they did win here last year, and they won here big last August, 45-11.
But I don't think that was for first place, though.
You're right. It was not.
You know,
this is meaningful with your backup quarterback in the game. You're missing your best D lineman, as I said earlier. This is a meaningful performance. And again, a broken play, but the Sun figure it out. Finally get the ball to Kelton Curry, who is stopped. Yeah, I mean, a lot to feel good about today for the Okanagan Sun. And a lot to feel pretty pissed off about if you're the VI Raiders, to be honest, as they have looked for a first place showdown and all the hype and the build-up. They did not come to battle here this week with the same level that the Sun did.
Absolutely, and you can tell by the way Coach Hawk is prowling the sideline. He's not a happy camper, and
you couldn't pay me to be around that guy right now.
No, I was going to talk to him after the game, but I think I'll just kind of avoid him this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're going to be looking at this film, and they're going to say, "What did we do wrong?" And they're going to
here's another fumble, and just able to get back on top of that was Andre Gordon.
Yeah, it was coverage. I think it was number 50 from the Sun.
So
Liam Hamlin.
You look at the standings. The Sun, I'm going to go ahead and predict it right now. They will finish this season at 7-2-1 with 15 points, and that'll put them in first place because no other team in the league can get to 15 points.
Correct.
The Langley Rams can't do it, even if they win out. Same with Valley. West Shore, no, and the Raiders after today won't either. So a win here today in so many ways locks up first place. All the Sun have to do is win 2 games at home that they are both the heavy favorite in both meetings.
Yes,
so
that's true.
The path to first place and home field advantage through the playoffs is laid right out for this Okanagan Sun team, and that is really quite a development as LaBerge is just going to scramble here, because you look at the way the season started for the Sun. They beat the Broncos in opening weekend. Okay, everyone saw that coming. They tie the Rebels. They lose to the Huskers. They barely beat the Rams. Then they lose, or I should say, they lose to the Rams. So, I mean, right out of the gate, they are...
Yeah, they do what, 1-2-1 or something.
Right. They didn't have a great start. Then they go out, they get a win over the Rams. Then they beat the Raiders at home. Then they beat the Huskers. And now they're starting to roll a little bit here.
Yeah, and I think they had that little, there's another good catch by Mike West. They had that early or right after the first game when Laux went down. That's when they ran into some trouble, when their starting quarterback, and it ended up to where
they started the season 1-1-1. Then they beat the Rams, then lost to the Rams. So they were 2-2-1 at midseason.
And that's without Laux.
Without Laux as their guy. So, but they're doing it without him today.
Yeah, and I think that's where the confidence now in Mailer, from his experience of playing when Laux has been out, that it's kind of benefiting the Sun, and they start to feel good about that. You know, you're not going, oh man, our starting quarterback's gone. But at the end of the day, it's one of the best things for them. Now they have 2 quarterbacks they can rely on.
We have a final from the Valley. Are you ready for this? 23-19, the Huskers beat the Rebels.
Oh, congratulations to the Valley
Huskers.
So
the Valley Huskers with a huge win. They are now up to 10 points on the season. And by the time this game finishes and before the night game is a final, the Valley Huskers will be tied with the VI Raiders. Objectionable conduct.
So they had 2 penalties there. They had
25-yard penalty.
15 yards for unnecessary roughness, and then a
objectionable conduct. All the way back to the 20, and the first down marker's up at the 50.
Yeah, it's going to be second down, and it's going to be 32 yards.
So you're going to have West Shore's going to stay at 7 points. Valley's now up to 10. And they would only need 1 more point to guarantee themselves a playoff spot.
Well, the Rebels now have to
win out.
And it's going to be tough to do because they got to go to Kelowna. They host the Valley next week. And even if they beat the Valley next week,
they got to go to Kelowna and win.
Still a game or a point behind.
Yeah, that's right.
And
so they would have to go to Kelowna win
Yep.
and hope that the Raiders beat the Huskers here in week 10.
Yes. Yeah.
So they need help and so you don't even control your own destiny at that point.
That's correct. Yeah, and like I said earlier, I didn't pick the Huskers to get in the playoffs. I know the start they had of the year, but I also knew that the tough side of the schedule was coming up. But you don't factor in when you think of predictions of injuries and different things like that, where who's in, who's out, But congratulations to those guys.
Well, the bottom line is they earned it today.
Oh, absolutely.
They won the game they had to win. And they did that against a West Shore team that just can't quite put it together. Obviously a tumultuous year for them with a change of a head coach in the middle of the season and the suspensions and the off-field distractions that Charlie Cardelicki became there. They did the right thing, I think, in moving on from him and Shane Beatty and J.C. Boyce. That's a nice combo of coaches to settle things down there, but ultimately just didn't have the horses to get back to where they needed to go. Of course, it's not over yet, and judging how this season has gone, Paul, we're likely to see some crazy stuff in the last 2 weeks too. But
yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, congratulations to the Huskers. You look at their last year's record of 0-10, and this year already they got 5 wins.
Yeah,
and that's huge. It's a great compliment to Coach Bob Reist on what he's done to that program.
I said it again. I'll say it now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Bob Reist is the coach of the year.
Absolutely, absolutely.
If he's not, it's a travesty. And I get to vote in the awards. I think you do too.
Yeah.
I'll certainly, you can tell you right now where I'm going to cast my vote because he deserves it. Really.
I think so. You bet.
And I can tell he's sick of it too because I always have to ask him kind of the similar line of questioning saying, Bob, what's it like, this changeover and you guys are in the mix, it's good for the league and this and that. He's so sick of that. He says, we're just doing our thing.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to be here. This is where we expected to be,
Yeah, that's the other thing. When you're not involved in the program, and you're standing afar watching from the outside, you don't know what's going on in there.
Yeah.
You're just guessing and just looking superficially at scores and different things like that, or stats.
Here is what we're looking at for the standings, Paul. I can do some quick math here. So the Sun are going to get to 11 points. The Raiders are going to stay at 10. Valley is at 10 now because of their win today, as there's a pass by Mahler here on first down. So Valley goes to 10 points. The Sun go to 11. The Raiders stay at 10. West Shore stays at 7. Langley, by all accounts, should beat Kamloops tonight. So they're going to go to 10 points too. So heading into week 8, you'll have the Sun with 11. You'll have the Raiders, the Rams, and the Huskers all with 10 points. You'll have West Shore with 7 and Kamloops with 0 at the bottom. So you're looking at a 3-way tie for second place coming out of this week, and the Sun alone in first place by 1 point over all of those teams. Based on the way the tiebreaker shakes out, I guess Valley is second place here? Or no, but they lost twice to Langley.
Yeah, they lost twice to Langley.
But they beat VI, but VI beat Langley. So I don't know how the tiebreaker even works in that scenario.
If I remember correctly, I think with 3 teams involved, you take just the records between those 3.
Okay, so the Raiders beat Langley, but only by 1 point. Langley beat Valley twice.
Yeah.
And Valley has beaten the Raiders once. So doesn't that give Langley the best record of all that? I don't know.
At this point, it
won't matter.
Because next week it's going to shake down.
Wegner with another long
kick. That's
his
4th field goal today. That's pretty good. It was about a 40-yard field goal.
He's hit 3 field goals of, he's hit from 17, 34, 44, and now 40.
That's pretty good. That's a good afternoon.
Very impressive.
Coming on the heels of last week's 5 field goals, that's pretty good.
And the Sun put up 40.
So next week is an important game between the Raiders and Langley, because that's going to be a home field advantage game for second place.
It's the most points the Raiders have given up this season.
It's been the most points they've given up in a long time.
Gave up 35 to the Sun.
Yeah, they gave last year in the game here. They gave up 45.
may be one of their worst home performances ever, too. LeBert, she's going down. Into the backfield was Ryan Marquardt.
Just off the edge, just quickly as possible. Get off the edge. He's a dancer, too, I see. And you just see him on the left side here. He's just defensive end getting down the stance, and he just beats the tackle just cleanly, a little swim move. And LeBert stepped outside rather than stepping up, and that helped it, but it was a good play by Marquardt.
High and caught out of bounds. Nelms Horton.
Yeah, he's been off today. He's been shaken up a little bit. Mentally, I would think, but he's probably thinking right now, man, what happened to my hands today?
Oh, what happened to the Raiders today?
And you're at that part of the game where, you're just trying to move the ball as quickly as you can, and you end up with a lot of incomplete passes and or turnovers. I'm going to give the Sun good field position here. With Hunchuk punting from his own 26-yard line.
Based on my understanding of the tiebreakers, and again, this doesn't really matter. I'm just more so working it out from my own curiosity as Kekel picks his way up to midfield here. It's the record among the three teams, I think, that decides a three-way tiebreaker, and the Rams are 2-1 among the Raiders, Rams, and Huskers. The Raiders are 1-1, and the Huskers are 1-2. So that would leave Valley's going to be still in fourth place.
I would think so.
The Raiders would slide down to second, and the Rams would slide down to third, and the Rams would sit in second place.
Yes.
Heading into week number 9, as those three teams, in all likelihood, will be tied with 10 points for second place, and the Sun all alone.
Yeah, legal block by the necessary roughness. It's the game next week. The Raiders over in Langley is going to that'll be the game for second place. Who's going to host a playoff game? So the Raiders from this score and the way the game played today, they've got a lot of work to do this week to just sort of get their focus back into playing some good football. And for the Sun, they just feel good about going home. We got the next two games. Well, they got all the rest at home. If they they win out, they're going to be at home for the 2 playoff games if they go that far.
Momentum is dangerous.
It's huge.
And you could argue that momentum doesn't really carry over from week to week. It does. Incomplete pass there as Mahler
I think it's
tried
stuck
to pull that back
hand,
and just spiked it in the turf. I mean, momentum to an extent carries over, but when the Sun have the potential to enter the playoffs on a 5-game winning streak.
Absolutely. Well, they can end up,
and they'll be at home for the rest of the season.
Rest of the season, and you win Cullen Cup, then you're also hosting Ontario, so you have that advantage to.
Could be 5 straight home games on the way to the Canadian Bowl for the Sun here. I mean, stop us if we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but they've shown all the pieces here today.
Well, I'm very, very impressed with how the Sun have played up here today. It's just they've come in with a good game plan. They've played with, I don't want to say urgency, but they played with some excitement. They didn't panic when they're down early 10-0. They just kept chipping away and do what they do.
Intensity, excitement. Hard not to be excited when you're rolling the Raiders in their own park.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen often.
And as every week goes by and every day goes by, all the players that are on the injured list have an opportunity to get back into the program, and you just get stronger. But there's also the potential of losing some players, but they could be in a position where how it shakes down that they could rest some guys the rest of the way and still have home field advantage the entire playoffs.
You're a lot less worried about being without Jacob Laux.
Oh, absolutely. After this performance.
Let him get healthy. This punt return is still going.
It's like a rugby.
That has the potential to get out of hand.
Yeah, I'm surprised the whistle's not been blown on that one. Yeah, that was interesting. Nobody blew a whistle there.
Well, he still had forward progress.
But that's when sometimes you got to, in my opinion, you got to be a little more diligent to say, hey, let's shut this down, because then you get the silly penalties, other guys coming in to help push or you know, to pull guys off. And
well, that's how guys get rolled up. They get hurt. You can see Ben McCauley is expressing his dislike.
The fans aren't happy with what's going on. Are they throwing a player out here? Yeah, big penalty. I think they've ejected a player. Yeah, number 20, Tyler Hill's been ejected from the game. A rough play. Not sure. I didn't see what happened, but I put some of that onto the officials for not blowing up the whistle soon enough there. So he's under the CJFL rules. He's suspended until the ejection is looked at, which will be this week.
Work to do, Paul.
Yes. Always. This year has been really weird. I came back into the BCFC because I love junior football. I love BC junior football. I want to help and do what I can do. But I've never ever, in all the years in the past, I was involved that we had a year like this where we had so many players ejected throughout the year. It's been a strange year. Another penalty flag down. That could be offside against the Raiders with the slot back. You see on the replay here, just a good run. I didn't get the number who ran this football here. It was just a good little run.
31, Andre Goulbourne. It was a good run.
They called it offside on the Sun, so they declined the penalty, and there's a 14-yard gain for first down. But yeah, it's just been one of these weird years where there's been a lot of extracurricular stuff from the players, and also this new targeting rule that's been challenged 3 times now, including this game, so they have to be looked at. But no players have been ejected beyond the penalty
suspended.
call.
There's a bomb to Nelms. Horton, touchdown Raiders, 60 yards. Jake LeBerge to Eli Nelms Horton, who has had a real tough game, but he goes big there. A 60-yard strike as he gets in behind the defense.
Yeah, he's just ran down the sideline, and the Sun lost contact with him exactly where he was. That was pretty close to him, his knee being down there, but touchdown scores. That makes 40-24-23 with Convert to come, but he's got to feel good about that. He finally got his hands on one.
He's had a tough day, has Nelms Horton.
Going for 2 points.
Jake LeBerge's 3rd touchdown pass of the game, but that does stack up against 4 interceptions. The extra point no good, so it'll be 40-23. You don't really need to go for 2 there.
No,
in fact, if you get the single, you're down by 16, which is 2 8s.
That's true.
So I don't know.
You got to get the onside kick first, though.
Now you're down 3 scores.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Sometimes it's something to practice as well. You know, you're in a game like this, and you just go like, "No, we'll practice this one." But they're going to try an onside kick. You don't get to try onside. I would assume to try an onside kick because you don't get to practice it much in the at practice where it's full speed. So a good chance to work on it in this situation. But it's next week's game. The one in Langley is going to be a good football game, and with the coaching change there, not sure how the players mentally went with it. You know, they're playing Kamloops tonight, so I'm not saying it's an easy game, but it's a game that they should win. But from a mental standpoint, you know, Coach Snoop recruited most of those guys, if not all the players on the team, so they're going to be questioning, you know, I didn't want to come and play for Coach Zarin, you know, even though he's been with the program right from the beginning. But, you know, those type of mental things go through your head, and so we'll see how they respond. And with
Nelms
next week's
Horton,
game.
High kick to Kitzman. That's probably the wrong guy to kick an onside kick to. Ty Kitzman, with his 2 interceptions today, has shown that he can catch the ball.
Yes.
That
Yes,
is
so
a
it will
tightly
be.
cropped jersey there, I'll tell you that. The midriff bearing.
Yeah, some guys, you know, they know how to dress, and
Well, the guys get, and the running backs, Andrew Harris, Jaden Smith used to do this when I played with those guys. There was a local tailor who would actually hem the jerseys up, so they would sort of hang perfectly around their waist. And I always laughed. I thought, you know.
I know when I was coaching the guys, we had players that would, before the game, they'd comb their hair, and then they pop their helmet on. It's like
You never caught that one. Yeah. Yeah. The only rule we had, of course, is a pretty universal offensive lineman rule, is no sleeves.
Yeah, absolutely.
No matter what the temperature, no matter what the conditions, no sleeves.
Yeah, roll them up.
Thankfully, being here in BC, it was never a huge issue. Although the one year I played at Simon Fraser University, I remember a game in Calgary. It was about -20. And I wasn't even playing. I was on the bench, no sleeves. That was not overly enjoyable.
Well,
Nothing like catching a helmet in your forearm when you've been standing in -20 for 2 hours.
That's true. Well, you look at the Saskatoon Hilltops, there's a bad snap.
A very bad snap. Mahler,
but all their linemen
just going to jump on that.
never wear sleeves.
No, you can't. It's a sign of weakness.
Coach Sargent would never allow that.
Well, what does he know?
Yeah, just 4 championships in a row.
One for the thumb is what the Saskatoon Hilltops are chasing this year.
And they're on pace to be hosting. They're in first place. They got a good game tomorrow against the Edmonton Huskies. Huskies are 4-1 and
ranked team in the country according to the CJFL rankings, which I do have my issues with. I mean, I see OFC teams on that list, and you just shake your head. There's Wegner having trouble with that kick, and it's a short bouncer. No yards, flags as Andre Gordon. There's a short return here.
Yeah, you got a face mask penalty as well on number 9 on
25 yards worth of penalties here.
The
17 points, Paul. 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go here. Great field position.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
We looked pretty silly against Langley when they were here earlier this year.
I know we're talking about different things.
We were nowhere near calling the game. We said it's over. Raiders came back and won 35-34. Scored 27 points, but that took 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, the top 10 is, you know, being the CJFL, you have to have some sort of political part of it.
But the OFC, Paul, let's be honest, has no business being on that list. No business.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. Either does BC.
Well,
when you think of what you
but it's top 10 list, right? So you
have to.
Say you take the top 4 out of the Prairies and the top 5 out of the BC. Okay, maybe you put one Ontario team in there. You know, I don't know. The day that an Ontario team wins an out-of-conference game again, then maybe we can revisit the conversation, right?
No,
but
I don't
the history
disagree.
just is there that they're just not even close. I remember when the Raiders went to Windsor a number of years back, and they just smoked Windsor, and then they went into Regina that year for the Canadian Bowl and got smoked there, and they weren't even close, you know, so.
Yeah.
It was almost merciful the OFC didn't have to play in the Canadian Bowl that year.
But, you know, you're also trying to build up programs, you know, and I'm not sure what type of press they get back in Ontario, but maybe there's somebody that, you know, really covers the team, and if they can put in the paper that, hey, we're the number 2 or the number 3 ranked team in the country, it brings fans in possibly.
Wide open, Jared Braun, and he missed him. Oh, my goodness.
Well, in fairness to Jake there,
he got
number
hit.
49 from the Sun, Todd Campbell came, or not Todd Campbell, I'm sorry. Ryan Marquardt came off the edge and had Jake
look at Jared Braun here.
Because he's just
the
chasing
closest
him.
person to Jared Braun was wearing stripes.
Yeah.
The linesman was covering him at the back there, the back judge. Oh, that hurts.
He threw it on his back foot, so it's going to sail for sure.
I gotta say that back judge didn't do a great job in coverage there either. Nelms Horton with a catch, but a flag.
I'm not sure what they're calling there. They might be calling a pick play.
Offensive PI maybe.
Yeah.
On Braun, who was going through the area.
Not sure why. That's what he's got to be calling, because nobody was offside. The flag came too late.
That's a huge thing you see in the NFL, that pick play. Not so prolific in junior football. Oh, it's
calling
defensive
against the
penalty.
defensive.
Declined. .226 to go here.
To be honest with you, Dom, this game really surprised me. I thought the Raiders had a great opportunity here to, sort of shake the tree a little bit, to say, not in our gym, not today.
You're right. I'm surprised too. I don't profess to be an expert, but I've seen a few games in my day, and I had the Raiders penciled in as the favorite here. I didn't think it would be easy by any stretch. I knew that they would have had to come out and play well, much better than they did, but especially when I got to the park and I found out that Laux wasn't playing, I found out that Daly wasn't playing, I thought, okay, that's big advantage Raiders. Especially then they go up 10-0. They're leading 10-0 after the first quarter. And I thought, okay, this is their game here to lose at this point.
Yes.
And they did lose it.
Yeah.
And the Sun, they took it.
This was a good pass, just on a line, catch it in the hands.
Third and very short here. Raiders going to go, obviously. LeBerge has to go deep.
Nice.
Oh, they're going to wave it off. Nelms, Horton.
Turnover and downs. That's got to be about the 10th turnover today.
I can tell you. Turnover on downs. You have 1, 2, 3. That's 9.
Wow. You don't win many football games turning the ball over 9 times.
Might have missed the turnover on downs in there too, but 4 picks, 3 fumbles, 2 turnover on downs. At least 20 Sun points off turnovers.
Yeah. Well, kudos to them. They had a game plan. They came in, they executed the game plan.
All around impressive stuff from Okanagan today. They deserve to win.
Absolutely. And once their defense found out that this is what the Raiders are going to play like, we're going to take away what they want to try to do the best of, and they did that for sure. They're going to wrap up this tape and give it to the kids.
There's Curry. Can anyone stop him? It's a foot race. Jeremy Chang horse collars him down to the ground as flags come out. I guess you take a horse collar major as opposed to a touchdown, but
yeah, you might
Kelton
see him.
Curry with a huge rip there. About a 50-yard rumble there. Longest of the day for the Sun back.
Yeah, so that's going to make it move the ball closer to the goal line. You see, just right up the middle, just a straight man up, and it's just a foot race from here.
Jeremy Chang, credit to him, he wasn't giving up.
Yeah,
that's where you got to go for the towel, as opposed to the back of the shoulder pads, right?
But the towel's going to be stuck in there pretty tight to get him on the ground, or you're going to be holding that towel waving to him as he scores. Yeah, sometimes, and that's going to happen, that type of penalty, when you're in a chase situation, you're just trying to get a hold of somebody, and that's the only place on the back of the player that you can get a hand in. And
yeah, that's tough. I mean, yeah, but then they get first and goal anyways here, so. You know the Sun want to put more points on the board here.
Well, it sends a statement, because they not saying it's, this is Cullen Cup preview, but the Raiders are a good enough football team that they're going to be
Mahler with a plunge, and he's
in the play at the end of the season. That makes the score 46-23 with Convert to come. Again, very surprised. I just the Raiders just didn't come to play today. They just found something that in the soup that they had this morning before the game or whatever it was, but it just took the edge away from them, and they just couldn't find that little formula to get back on track.
It was a perfect day for football today in Nanaimo. Overcast, so you don't have to deal with the sun, but it wasn't in any way cool. It wasn't warm. We're not wearing jackets. It's
I got shorts on.
Yeah,
it's great.
A nice, perfect, mild temperature. The field is in great shape. Not much precipitation at all this week. And it's funny, I was talking to some of the Sun coaching staff before the game, and as they do, they love to poke fun at Caledonia Park. And I don't blame them. They're living up there in the high life with the Apple Bowl, and they're in outstanding facilities, and we're Raiders are here in Nanaimo with this homey park, shall we say. And I couldn't love Caledonia Park more, but still. And they were laughing because they said, well, the field, the turf itself is in great shape, but they said in general the entire field is sloped. Like if you look at your screen, the left corner of your screen, that end zone is much lower than the top right corner of your screen. The whole field sort of tilts one way, which I guess is good for irrigation.
Yeah, it could just be because the park's been here a long time. It's been like
this is one of Nanaimo's oldest parks.
Yeah, because I remember coming up here when I was playing juvenile football back in this would be the late '60s. And this was the park we played at. And
a lot of soccer here too.
Yes.
They use this park much less now in Nanaimo. They try and save the turf for the Raiders season. They try to keep teams off of it as much as they can. And Nanaimo recently opened a gorgeous turf field at the high school here at Nanaimo District Secondary School, where the NDSS high school football team plays out of. It's a gorgeous turf field. It's Canadian Football League size. It has CFL lines on it. It has lights. It doesn't unfortunately really have a bleacher setup where you could host more than a few hundred people. But it's a turf field. It's gorgeous. As that pass to Bonnet Plume goes incomplete.
Good coverage, Jordan Ray, number 7.
But the Sun coaches were having a bit of a chuckle about the field and the.
Well, I understand what they're saying and where it comes from, but at the end of the day, this is the Raiders' home. This is where you win, and it says right there, Sun have only won up here 6 times now out of 16 tries.
Yeah.
So there has to be a home field advantage.
Oh, there's huge. I mean, you think back to the years when the Raiders were reeling off BC championships, and they literally never lost at home. It just did not happen. There's a head-to-head contact there. Nick Cross.
Enough for a first down.
Jared Braun. Yeah, some stadiums, some teams just have it lucky in this league with their great facilities, and others do not. That's kind of the way it is. I mean, really to a stadium, actually, every other facility in the league is pretty gorgeous.
Oh, absolutely.
Kamloops is fantastic. Apple Bowl's beautiful. McLeod Athletic Park in Langley. You got Exhibition Stadium in Valley, which may be a little dated by this point, but still great, beautiful setup there. And West Shore has West Hills, which is a brand new stadium and a beautiful complex in Langford. So, and then we have Caledonia Park, where a number of years ago they ripped out the, quite frankly, liability bleachers, where anyone over the age of 60 was liable to fall down the stairs here.
That's right.
They've put in legitimate bleachers here, but no roof. There's no internet here. We broadcast the games as best we can without any sort of internet connection. As LeBerge throws it up off a helmet, picked off. There is a flag, though, as Nick Cross comes down with that ball. Jake LeBerge got hit late too, so
working the passer, and
this play's coming back all the way around.
And I think the other one was interference against Trey Adams, number 4. And an injury there. I think that's number 71 from the Sun Boston Bulls.
One of these teams looking like the big dog today, the other one looking like the Chihuahua.
Yeah, and the good thing about today is with the no Chihuahuas, at least they wouldn't be here to see their shadows.
Oh,
the way
right.
that, because you know what happens when that goes by. Man, oh man.
Roughing the passer and pass interference. So the interception by Cross is negated. There you see a rather exacerbated looking Doug Hawking, frustrated to say the least. I think that
been in those type of games and these
Slightly
type of games.
less hair than he did 3 hours ago.
But they'll talk about this one tomorrow, and then they'll start to focus on the Rams, and because that's a huge game for a home field advantage. Because you don't want to travel in the playoffs. You want to make sure you got some home cooking at your side.
We have not seen Rhett Williams since his Goulbourne carries there, since he went down awkwardly earlier in this half.
Yeah, that was the third quarter. He had just like a twist of an ankle or a knee, and just enough where the coach says, no, sit on down. This game's not for ours for the taking, so just rest you. Now see if the Raiders can score here to make it look respectable on the scoreboard.
Trying Mike West. Oh, he almost made a highlight.
Great
real catch.
That's right. Going again. Go to him. Just see Mike on this end of this play here on the replay. Jake all the way says, I'm going to throw the ball to you. Just couldn't get his hand to grip it.
The Raiders, of course, are without North Rainey today as well, which we didn't really talk about very much, but he's a big part of their offense, too.
Yes, yeah.
It's their third leading receiver. LeBerge on second down. Touchdown. Jared Braun in the corner of the end zone. A little cramping.
Coming up, yeah, limping a bit.
But he's got himself a touchdown. It's at 47-29 here.
Just a corner route. He's just an inside slot receiver, just runs the corner. The outside receiver hooks up, and that creates a little bit of a seam, and it puts the defensive back into a chase position. Going for 2 here, 30 seconds to go. Going to Mike West, and just
2-point conversion.
Did they get it? They said he got it, yes.
They give it to him.
It's on the replay here. He gets whacked pretty good here at the end of the play, but he makes a good catch in his hands. So he goes up for it. He gets whacked good.
Oh, talk about targeting. There's a face-to-face shot there.
And then they say he did get, now they're talking about it, the officials, so maybe they're going to wave it off because one of the Okanagan Sun, number 24, is it Dustin McGee, came up with the football.
Why are you talking at all? Hey, all the talking's done. What did I do? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. What happened?
He had his ball in the hands and
Oh.
then fucking hit it out.
I had the big guy, but
Give me a
what's there?
Seems to be a decent amount of confusion going on
I'm not
right
sure
now.
what's.
They're saying it was a good convert for 2 points. I don't know how that's not a targeting shot there, Paul. I mean, Nick Cross put his helmet square in the face of the receiver that was in the middle of a defenseless play.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, that's an NFL penalty in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but again, it's, being a new rule, it's going to take some time to get everybody's focus into exactly what they see. And sometimes some officials, they watch a little bit differently than others will, and it's also in the literal wording of the rule. Was he a defenseless receiver or defenseless player? And again, massaging this rule going forward is going to take some of the mindset away from how we used to play the game and how we used to call those or not call those, to really look at them to see, was it? And that's why I think it's important, as we save these games on film, that we can talk to the officials and the coaches and say, okay, is this targeting, or is this holding, or is this clipping, that type of thing, and have everybody on the same page when the games are played. Because the worst thing you want to see is inconsistency amongst the officials from game to game to game.
You can't do that. Connor Richard just chop blocks somebody on a kick return. But you cannot do that. That's actually a very dangerous play.
Very, very dangerous play. The Okanagan Sun.
That's really poor. I love Connor Richard. I was singing his praises.
I want to go home. Let's go.
today, but that's a very, very dangerous play. You can see number 10 here go up and chop block somebody on a return. You just cannot do that.
Yeah, well, the Sun were upset when Nick Daly got chopped down when he was playing a game against Langley Rams, and they were upset, at the Ram players for doing that. And I certainly hope that they talk to Connor Richard about that. That's the type of thing that, like you say, it's very, very dangerous, and that's why they took it out of the game, because when they
you can't, because you're covering a kick, you're at full sprint, and you can't have somebody diving into your legs.
Especially when it's not part of the game now, and you don't expect it.
You're not expecting it, right? Yeah, you're defenseless. As an old lineman too, I love a good chop block. Love a good chop block, but change of possession plays, it's illegal. You cannot do it.
But when you're doing it on the line, everybody knows it's part of the rules of the play that it can happen in a low block, but not when you're running downfield covering a kick. The Sun just run this out with 20 seconds left. They're going to get on the bus, get home. They'll get on the boat, have something to eat, get off the boat, and by the time they get to Chilliwack, they'll all be asleep.
Yeah. Depends how Ben McCauley runs that, runs the bus, I guess. Every coach has a little different routine.
Yeah.
But that'll be the end of this one, as the Okanagan Sun, with a statement victory here today, 47-31. They thoroughly handed to the Vancouver Island Raiders, and the Okanagan Sun in first place, all alone in the BCFC, heading into week number 9, and home field advantage for the rest of the playoffs is well within their grasps right now, as their head coach Ben McCauley embraces with Raider head coach Doug Hawking at midfield. The players shake hands and do the same, and it was no love lost between these two teams here today, Paul. A lot of intensity, some jawing, a great start to this game, and looked like we might be in for a classic. The opposite played out really because of a second half meltdown by the VI Raiders. They gave up 27 points. Second quarter, I should say, meltdown. They turned a 10-0 lead after 15 minutes into a deficit at halftime, 27-17, and the Sun never looked back.
It's a head scratcher coming, like when you look at from the Raiders side, is man, oh man, where did this game come from? Why? And I guess that's a question the coaches will be asking as they look at the game film on this, and they talk to the players, and there's the team meetings, before they get into the Langley build-up. But you got to wonder, what the heck happened? Why all of a sudden did we play like this? But you can't take anything away from when the Okanagan Sun did. They came in here and they played some pretty good football. They didn't get too down when they were down 10-0, and they just chipped away and they took advantage of what the Raiders gave them. There wasn't really any guessing on what they're doing. They just said, we're going to attack this area, and they had success with it. And then once you have the success, your momentum and your confidence just keeps building. And then, like you said earlier, the Sun defense is really good. They've got a great defense. And if they stay healthy, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Unofficially, 9 turnovers by the Raiders today. 4 interceptions from Jake LeBerge, 3 fumbles, 2 turnover on downs. You have a pick 6, you have a fumble in their own end zone recovered by the Sun. Really, everything that went wrong, could have gone wrong for the Raiders and could have gone right for the Sun, did. And it was just every mistake seemed to be capitalized on by Okanagan and turned into points right away. A resounding victory for this club here today. A shocker and a head scratcher for the Raiders. From their side, they can only hope that this means a wake-up call. And now we're going to take this, use it as fuel, and push forward for the rest of the season. And for the Sun, they just have to take care of business, and they are first place, home field advantage right through the playoffs. Exactly what Ben McCauley and his staff would have drawn up. This one kind of, I mean, not unthinkable based on their talent, but surprising based on where this team was at the start and in mid-season.
Absolutely, and they've now lost 2 of their last 3 games. In last week's game in Kamloops,
The Raiders have.
the Raiders, yes, and last week in Kamloops they struggled in the first half without Jake LaBerge, a quarterback, and then when Jake was inserted in the second half, they kind of picked up their play. But today was kind of, I found it very surprising that Jake he wasn't on. He didn't look comfortable there, and again, maybe there's an injury that we don't know about that he's protecting, that he doesn't want to get himself in a position he's going to get hurt. But at the end of the day, if the Raiders put this thing together and this week they come out and just keep their concentration to say, okay, now we got another big one. Let's put this one behind us. We know we didn't capture first place, but now we got to go to Langley. And Langley's a tough place to play.
Yeah.
It always has been for the Raiders. So at the end of the day, put everything in the basket to say, okay, we're going to Langley and we got to win that game because we want home field advantage and be the second place team for playoffs.
47-31, the final score. Sun over the Raiders. The Raiders next week will be on the road in Langley for really a must-win game for them. The Sun will be at home against the Kamloops Broncos, and a chance for them to run the table at home and end the season in first place and have that home field advantage through the postseason. It was all about the Sun defense today, forcing those turnovers. Their offense was as good as they needed to be in this victory, and they took care of business. They're the first place team heading into week number 9 in the BCFC. There's one more game coming up tonight, and you can catch that on bcfctv.com. From here, powered by Remax of Kelowna. Big thanks to all of our contributors on the broadcast today. Paul Short, fantastic job on his color commentary. Roll Focus and the production team doing great work as always. Ben McCauley from the Okanagan Sun, good enough to give us some of his time at halftime in this game as well. And thanks to you for tuning in here on BCFC TV. From Nanaimo, I'm Dominic Abassi. Good night.